Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover. It's powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Pete Tweet sucks right now.
Pete Tweet.
This really sucks.
Blackjack.
Okay, so Pete Thamel is reporting
that
Tennessee and Nebraska are canceling their upcoming series. Scheduled for 26 in Lincoln, 27 in Knoxville. He said a driver of the move was Nebraska wanting 8 home games in 27 when they expected reduced stadium capacity because of renovations.
I can't believe it.
If you would like to be amused, just read the replies.
I love the replies. Let's fish around in there.
Yeah, give us a couple of good ones.
Okay, let's just first start with college football alerts.
Yes.
Lame.
Vol
Soup. Nebraska is such a trash historical program anyways. Glad that they can fill that spot with someone more worthy.
Yeah, they definitely will. They'll definitely not play East Tennessee Tech State.
Nebraska is scared.
No, get the Mocs back on the schedule.
Tennessee is scared.
Yeah, that's my favorite back-to-back, where it goes Nebraska scared, then Tennessee scared. Everybody's scared, apparently.
Rebel Truth chimes in. I would think this is a bigger driver, Pete, is the SEC is going to 9 games.
Well, what happens when they get this game back on the schedule, when they do their alliance or whatever the hell they're going to do?
Alliance.
A Michigan fan says Nebraska is such a fraud program.
Frauds. That is definitely the takeaway from this.
Tailgate Guru, as a Husker fan, this stings a bit. Would have loved to see Nebraska and Tennessee go at it, but I get the move.
I don't quite feel the same way about this cancellation as I did about the Oklahoma game potentially in 2021. But
this was one of those where it would have been cool.
Thank you.
It would have been cool.
It would have been cool.
Yes, it would.
It would have been cool.
It would have been cool.
But I'm not heartbroken.
How many Nebraskans would have tried to go? It's
Look at all the Tennessee fans in 26 that would. Guys, 2026 is next year.
Wait.
It is.
Are you serious?
Yes. Look at all of the orange that would have come here, the red that would have gone to Knoxville, Tennessee. We've. When did this series initially get scheduled? Because it's been pushed back.
Upset right now.
I gotta have some speaks with Dannon because he
was
said
a long time ago.
Yeah,
he said
it was a while.
He said they wanted to keep this because 26 would be the last year of full capacity. So they must know something about their 27 schedule.
Well, I think if I had to,
or are they moving construction up?
I have a Brett McMurphy tweet.
Is he fighting against Pete?
No. Cornhuskers must pay $500,000 to cancel series, which was agreed upon in 2006.
Holy God.
Holy shoot.
It was scheduled for 16 and 17 and then moved to 26-27.
Jesus.
Nebraska does play next year. Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Washington. College football playoff returner from this year, Indiana.
People forget.
Yeah, we're just going to keep referring to them as that until the end of next year.
They went to that. People forget that. They go to Illinois. They go to Iowa, 2026. That's a hard schedule, guys.
Do you think there couldn't be a grandfather in on their the upcoming SEC alliance where they just decided, hey, we'll just get ahead of it? Like they were going to have to play another SEC team a part of their schedule.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think that might be a factor.
Why couldn't have that just been the SEC?
I know.
It's interesting.
No,
that,
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make the most sense for them
this
to honor that agreement.
Didn't this feel like somewhat of a staring contest, like who was going to do it first?
Definitely.
And Nebraska did it, and they have to now pay it, and they have to get made fun of in front of everybody when Tennessee probably wanted the same thing.
I would agree with that.
And nobody would have said, oh, Tennessee's running scared, except for Nebraska fans. Obviously. Wow, Gary, you are triggered.
Because I want these games.
You're distraught.
The bull crap that you're shoving Houston Christian down my throat is not right.
Oh, don't you want to see a young upstart program?
No.
So then 20 years you can say, I remember when.
I say we do this now. This is a good trend. Here's what we have to do. We have to start scheduling games for like elite games, like huge,
Alabama, Georgia.
the biggest games you could possibly imagine for like 2035 or something like that,
and then
just cancel it in 2034.
What a great bit.
Good PR now, bad PR later, but Nebraska needs a trade right now.
Chris brought up a good point. Is this the final thing for Steve Peterson? Because he was the AD when this was signed.
Oh, dear God.
The Peterson era.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
This was signed 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and they still have yet to
Don't
play.
they still? So I wonder. They're supposed to play Colorado in a couple of years as well, which would then be a Big 12, and then you have to add in the SEC matchup. Like,
I don't know if they're actually going to do the whole scheduling alliance thing. I'm not convinced of that yet.
What makes you not convinced of that?
I mean,
It's
a lot of games. It's
Everything we talk about in February,
Yeah.
hardly any of it comes to fruition.
Yeah, it seems fake.
Unless the TV money
But-
on this separate game is big.
So,
I mean, that's what it would be, and why wouldn't it be?
Sorry, I got to interrupt here.
Big? Go ahead.
Just like Oklahoma,
Brett McMurphy saved the game.
we have the Tennessee athletic director that is now commenting.
Oh no!
I tried so hard to save this game.
Danny White just tweeted.
Oh, geez. Of course, it's Danny White. Too.
Correction.
The quarterback?
Tennessee is not canceling this series. Nebraska did. We are very disappointed they didn't want to play these games, especially this close to 2026. Why? Did we not learn anything from Oklahoma?
I told you. Now they could just play. Oh, we didn't want to do this. We didn't want to cancel the games.
Didn't Rule with Josh Pate say that he wants to play more SEC games?
Something like that.
So this is
he wanted Super Conference. So future schedules, Tennessee's out. Next premier non-con opponent, Arizona, 2028. So that'll be canceled in 2 years.
Wild.
and then Colorado after, right?
Colorado's not on here.
Well, Oklahoma is coming.
Oklahoma's
Oklahoma,
back in 29
yeah.
and 30. The return game with Cincinnati is in 33. And then the Oklahoma State games in 34 and 35 are Nebraska's future conference schedules. Look a little empty.
Do they replace it with another P5 opponent?
Doubtful.
I don't, man. So
not this late in the game. I mean, everybody's booked
Everyone's
at
kind
this
of
point.
scheduled up, yeah.
but now you got me thinking about.
So who's it going to be? Let's play the game of who's it going to be.
Northern Illinois.
Who's Nebraska going to play on September 12th, 2026? Take your
incarnate word.
Yeah, take your pick of either an FCS team. Well, they're already playing North Dakota, so it's not going to be an FCS team.
They're playing
Probably-
South Dakota
Oh,
in a
okay.
couple of years.
So
Okay,
don't they?
Toledo.
It'll be an FBS team. Yeah, MAC is probably a good place to start. Get
Well, they
Northern
already
Illinois.
got Akron, so I don't think they'll. Oh no, that's not. That's this year.
Akron's this year. Northern Illinois is back in 2027. Feels like they just have like a standing agreement with them.
I'm gonna throw one out there.
Okay, give me one.
Idaho.
Oh, hell yeah.
All
The
right,
the
I'll throw one
Vandals.
out there. Middle Tennessee.
Oh, tough.
I went incarnate word.
So they take Tennessee off and they bring in Middle Tennessee.
Yes, the better Tennessee team.
Be a bad look, probably.
Yeah.
But I'm now back
How
to
about
something you said.
East Carolina.
They're
that
like, hey,
actually
we'll do a
would
home
be-
and home, and you get to look at Neyland Stadium.
Nebraska ain't doing no home and home down there.
So okay,
They ain't going
so
to Murfreesboro.
the reasoning is Nebraska needs an extra home game to make up for the income that they're going to lose because the stadium won't have the South Stadium. But I wonder if there's going to be more seats that are being taken out during the construction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is going to be we've talked about this a little bit. I don't think people realize like this is the Trev initial plan. It is now much bigger. The stadium deal is going to probably be bumping up against $1 billion.
That Trev plan that y'all didn't want and said it was
Which was $600 million.
Yeah.
It's going to be more. It's going to be more.
This will not be a good day on Husker Twitter.
Doc writes in,
what's up, Doc?
Why does the athletic department think they're going to make money playing Sisters of the Poor instead of Tennessee? I don't know.
Every game.
So
is
was this a
sellout?
dispute over? So obviously, like they wanted an 8th game, and Tennessee wasn't going to do an away in back-to-back years, and so that's why they had to cancel it. So someone else would come and play.
Sam says that Sorry, continue.
I mean, was there not another slot that they could have?
That's what Sam said. They tried to move it back, and Tennessee didn't want to move it anymore.
Okay.
Well, I would think a year out, you probably don't want to scramble because that's a power. That's a Big Ten game. It's not like Tennessee is going to be able to replace. I mean, Tennessee's going to have probably a group of 5 game. So I can see why there'd be pushback of, hey, this is our one power game on the non-con. We want to keep it. It's a year out.
Do we know what an average, what is the average revenue of one Husker football game?
Like profit or
revenue?
Profit
or revenue, either number would do.
I remember hearing a general ballpark, like they make $1 million every time they play a home game. Yeah, they get $1 million.
They get $1 million in profit.
I don't know. Maybe it's $1 million in revenue. I'm not sure.
If it's $1 million, then I don't know, guys. They just paid $500,000 to not play it. So I don't know. We would have to get a full we would read Sam's pretty story solid number because if it's
So Dannon said in the when they talked a couple of weeks ago, I didn't like the model of 7 home games down 20%. But I thought we weren't doing construction until after
26.
After 26, but isn't the first game isn't the home game for Tennessee next year?
Yes. So they need an extra home game, so they can't go on the road in 27.
Okay. All right, I guess.
So 20% of the stadium that would be missing is the South Stadium.
Dannon said, I get it totally in early February of Tennessee's disinclination to move the series. The Vols play West Virginia at a neutral site in 28, then have a home-and-home with Washington in 29 and 30. Nebraska, I know the opponent. Sam does anyway. All of us were wrong, but whoever guessed the MAC was right.
Oh.
Bowling Green.
Huh.
Nebraska play Bowling Green September 12th, 2026 next year.
I guess they have orange in their color scheme.
Totally.
Okay. Same thing.
Bowling Green back, and Miami of Ohio instead of Tennessee on September 11th, 2027.
Jeez.
Okay, at least I will
chance.
At least it's not an FCS team.
Yeah, it can't be because they already have FCSs on the schedule. Well, I guess they don't in 27.
So the math is that they have 140% less revenue for each season that South Stadium is closed. And so an extra home game provides 80%. So you're only down 60% revenue. You're missing 60% of one game that you would typically have, which is $600,000 if we're going off of $1 million in profit.
No, hold on.
What's revenue though?
I think so that's not the right number for a regular football game. Because Nebraska, Trev said that they made $1 million off the spring game.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So what's a regular football game?
I think it's like 8-9 million.
Okay, well then that makes sense. Then that makes a ton of sense. Like I said, we need to figure out that number because $1 million does not make sense.
So $1 million is what Nebraska was making off their spring game.
I don't care how much money they make or don't make. I want them to play Tennessee.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I know, but you do have to from a financial situation, from a financial standpoint, I understand where they are. It sucks.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that? I get it.
They're spending a lot of. This athletic department. Why does it have to?
Money why does it have to come at expense of the fans? Why does it have to come at expense of the fans?
Because we're already going to get tapped for the stadium.
I know.
We're already getting blown up here.
It sucks. But there is there are just certain things that if they're going to make some of these financial decisions work, this is what they have to do. And yeah, if there were other revenues, you would like to think if there are other revenues that they could have exhausted in order to make up these losses, that it wouldn't that did not come at the cost of the fans, they would have done it. And if it does come out that, hey, there are other ways to do this other than them canceling the home and away against Tennessee, then that would suck. But I don't know, when you blow up 20% of your stadium and you have to spend a crap ton of money on rebuilding it and doing all this stuff on top of the fact that they've spent a lot of money on that brand new shiny football facility not too long ago. Unfortunately, these are just some of the sacrifices that they have to make.
Disagree. I don't think they have to make this sacrifice.
We don't know if they have to make this.
They have to make sacrifices, not this one.
So
it's a sucky sacrifice.
Yeah,
It's a sucky
So
sacrifice.
a guy by the name of Mike Hamilton was the athletic director at Tennessee, Steve Peterson in Nebraska when this was signed in 2006. It was initially scheduled to be played in 16-17. Then the deal in 2013 was amended when Tennessee got a new athletic director, who at the time then moved the games to 26 and 27.
Yes.
So here's more from Danny White, the athletic director.
Tennessee moved it the last time. Moved it the last time so they could play their game at the racetrack.
Yes.
At Bristol in 2016.
Danny White says, I think it's a kind of unprecedented to pull out of a home-and-home series this late with little notice, so I'm annoyed by it. Home-and-home series against power conference opponents are scheduled out decades in advance, and this would have been on the docket for 20 years.
I agree.
So
I agree.
So it looks like Tennessee might have to do. Remember when Wake Forest pulled out against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss went and scheduled Washington State for 1 year?
Yeah.
They might have to do something like that.
So Dannon said officially in a statement, we are making plans to embark on major renovations of Memorial Stadium that may impact our seating capacity for 2027. The best scenario for us is to have 8 home games in 2027 to offset any potential revenue loss from the reduced capacity. The additional home games will also have a tremendous economic benefit for the Lincoln community. Thank you, Mr. Yogurt.
Can they afford a snowplow now?
Future non-conference games against Arizona, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State are not impacted
That's just crap.
by the change.
That's just crap.
Not impacted.
All right. How about that scheduling alliance between the SEC and the Big Ten?
Yeah. Well, maybe. We'll see.
How far out does Nebraska have 3 non-conference games? When do they go down to 2?
27. Well,
Okay,
I mean, actually now 20. Well, I guess they have Bowling Green next year, and then they replace Tennessee with Miami of Ohio in 27. So right now, currently on the books for 27 is only Northern Illinois and Miami of Ohio. Why not just play the whole MAC? Why not just move to the MAC?
Ooh. Well, you know what? Who
UTEP's back on for 28.
People will be upset playing on Tuesday nights in Lincoln.
Hey.
I don't know. Maybe Matt Rule's pretty happy because he knows that he's going to get, one more guaranteed win in the 26 and 27 seasons now.
Okay, so if they were ever going to do this one-off SEC Big Ten home and home, would it start in 27?
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I don't know. There would be space.
And a stipulation is Nebraska says we have to have a home game in 27 if we're going to sign up for this.
Wouldn't it almost like have worked out perfectly if they were to start it pretty soon, considering the fact that Nebraska already had SEC teams on the docket to play and in SEC team to play?
I don't know. I think I don't think they're operating thinking that that's going to be a thing. I don't think they're putting that in. I don't think that's part of the plans right now. Maybe it will be.
It could be.
I don't think that's part of the plans right now. So no, I don't know.
There's a lot of. I mean, we're going to get plenty of clarification on all that type of stuff when they meet. Well, I mean, don't they meet next week, the College Football Playoff Committee, about what the actual changes they're going to make for the 2025 season?
They're meeting. They're talking.
I think they should not tell you who you're going to play
and
and just announce it every Monday.
Yeah. Hey, check it out. We got this cool matchup.
But didn't we prove during COVID that we can schedule in football a little bit quicker?
I guess so. If there's a positive to that, Nebraska shouldn't have any problems filling another home game for 2027 with some overran from the MAC.
Hey, if they ever get to this, I think they should keep it secret, and that spot is just open. Everybody has the same date, and then they just pick it out of a hat. They have a show, and they announce who you're going to play.
I would watch. I would call out of work.
Please don't let it be Alabama or Georgia. Please.
Can you imagine before every game?
Crap. We got Mississippi State every year.
Before every game, you don't know who they're going to play. Only the teams know until you show up at Memorial Stadium and you see the scoreboard. It's when you find out who you're playing that day.
That's the
and
ultimate.
It's my uncle's cousin's brother's wife's uncle said that, hey, they saw some crimson red trucks pulling into the Graduate earlier today. I think we're playing Bama tomorrow.
It'd be tracking flights all day long.
I saw Joe Flacco on a plane, and he said it was Delaware.
Alex and Lincoln says here's a revenue stream that they could embark on. Sell tickets for people to watch South Stadium blow up. You could sit in North Stadium and watch South Stadium fall to the ground. $20 a piece. That makes up for your revenue.
Didn't we have when this plan was first announced? Didn't we throw out the idea of auctioning off the ability to push the button to blow up South Stadium?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
That'd probably pay for the revenue lost in Tennessee alone.
Like you bid, it's an auction. You bid it. Yeah, like highest bidder. What would you think that highest bidder is? You know, a person who gives it to his son or something like that. It's like, kid, I want you to have the experience of a lifetime. You're going to press the button to blow up South Stadium. I know you're 8 years old, but you'll love this. I'll pay $1 million.
What are the chances that a donor calls up Dannon right now and says, "All right, what's the revenue for a home game?" And if it's like $9 million, he goes, "All right, I'll give you $9 million. You go to Neyland in 2027." Is that something you think that could happen?
I think they would say, "Hey, how about that $9 million for the stadium?"
Yeah.
NIL.
I mean, they're like
Gates would say.
Nebraska, like all this is coming together where they've got the stadium project, which is going to end up being $1 billion. They've got revenue sharing. They've got a NIL. I mean, we're tapped here in a state of 1.9 million.
Husker fan 2014 writes in on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely disgusted. I set apart that weekend in 2026 to get absurdly drunk and watch my Huskers take on the Vols. #fire rule.
What?
How do you think this changes the over/under for 2026 and 2027? Do you think I can get in on the future market?
Well, what do you got? You're going to have 8 home games for 2027 now?
I mean, it's got to be. I mean, we got to think it's 8.
What
right,
about love in this state of a couple that they had their heart set on a particular date in September, but because Nebraska and Tennessee were playing, they had to go to a different venue, a different date, and now all of a sudden they're not playing.
Yeah.
If you're getting engaged in February of 25 and telling her, yeah, we'll get married in 27, it's a lot like Nebraska-Tennessee, where you're just kicking the can down the road knowing it'll never, ever happen.
Hey, you never watched The 5-Year Engagement? That's a great movie.
It was
Mine
the last
was
movie I rented from Blockbuster.
Wow.
Mine was 18 months.
Historic.
Engagement?
Yeah.
That's a long time, is it not?
Well,
I think
the industry that I was in, we had to go off the sports
Sure,
calendar.
Sure.
But no.
No, I don't
I
think
think a year is about average, right?
My cousin's going to be close to 2 years. You know, my brother was a whole year.
How long was yours from engagement to wedding?
Oh, Gary, it just seems like yesterday.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, wait, she's working today. So I can talk about her. A year?
Okay, which is normal.
Yeah.
Unless there's circumstances.
Mine was like
Do I have circumstances?
3 weeks short of a year.
Okay.
I haven't gone through said experience.
That's okay. You will. Well, once you stop leaving your cups everywhere, then why do you always look at me like that?
There's one cup.
I'm messing with you.
Now
it wasn't one cup. You leave trash everywhere
That's
every
not true.
day.
One cup
That's
every
not
day.
That's not true. That is not true.
Was that yours in the bathroom?
Yes, of course it was.
Because I'm not going to be the guy who poos with the cup right next to me on the toilet.
Then why'd you bring it in?
Because I had the cup because I was sipping my coffee.
Dump it out, throw it away.
No,
you know the aroma from the air seeps into the coffee.
Yeah, I know. So I went in and I put the coffee on the desk or on the sink.
Yeah,
right?
but you're still inside
And
the
then I did
bathroom.
my
You should have left it
business.
outside.
And then I walked in and I washed my hands and then I forgot the cup. All right. But
Don't forget it.
then Happer goes and tweets it, and now I got 17 notifications telling me that I'm a piece of you know what, and then I don't know how to clean up after myself, and all these comments about these kids don't know, oh Matt McMaster, what a bad take.
So I think it's simultaneously a really young person move and a really old person move.
Oh, good one. Good one.
Like
there's a middle like 30 or 40 years where you would never do that, but it comes back around.
I just put it on a look at what Alyssa. Why is he bringing his drink into a public restroom in the first place?
Interesting question.
I was sipping my coffee, Alyssa. All right, I was doing some other things.
And then now we haven't gotten to the most important point. Why did you leave it there?
I forgot it.
Well, you went to wash your hands, right? You saw it. It was there.
I washed it and I just.
Zipped right on out of there.
Look, I forget my wallet in this office. I forget my.
I know.
My.
This is what I'm saying. That's why I'm trying
water
to keep
bottle. But my wallet.
So I'm trying to keep you in
my
check.
wallet isn't trash. My water bottle isn't trash. They're my belongings.
Okay, you leave your stuff.
Yes, there's a difference. Okay, I throw away the trash.
Nuh-uh.
You sound like a
Miss
7-year-old.
Uncrustable wrappers everywhere.
Where?
After the show ends,
Where?
most
Where?
days.
Well, look around, Happer. Look around.
Not today.
Public
You already.
shame is the only way to correct the problem.
Yes.
Look at how lucky we are to be alive right now.
We
I
are.
agree with that.
But I feel less lucky every time I see your garbage everywhere. Don't look at me like that. Just fix it. All right.
I'm going to HR. I'm going to HR.
All
We have an HR department?
Nah.
I'll find somebody. I'll hire an HR.
It's made up.
Okay.
Hey, Connor, how do you feel about the final boss making his return tonight?
He has no idea what that means.
Final boss making. Oh, is this a wrestling thing?
Josh, please.
That's right.
Can you, please?
Final boss
Gary?
is back tonight.
Gary?
He's promised
No.
to
Can you-
F
I'm
someone's
watching
life up.
Reacher here.
What's that mean? Who's that?
I
Who's
love
that?
Alan Rickson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Really?
The final boss. Yeah, he main evented WrestleMania last year.
No,
you didn't
kidding.
know?
No kidding. No,
Well, look what you're doing on Friday night now.
Is he
I have
being
no
at the?
No, I'm going to watch the episode of Severance tonight.
Is he going to the Omaha game? Will The Rock be at the Omaha game to lay the smack of the down
Don't know.
on the trash can in the locker
Does he
room?
have this song? And I don't care about him.
You suck.
Mhm.
That's
Hey,
Connor's
You
jam.
suck.
Did you
That'd be a great intro for your show.
did you see that Severance has passed Ted Lasso?
I
Yeah.
did see that this morning.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Kind of surprised me
So many theories.
since there's only 2 people I know who watch it.
Now, do you watch Reacher?
No.
Because it's back season 3.
That's a mountain of a man, though.
He is a
He's a
gigantic
big
human
boy.
being.
He's
Well,
got
he's
he's got good takes about people he went to school with too.
He's on TRT, but he's a big guy.
I mean, look, they got him sitting in a chair on the Today Show, and he can barely fit into that chair.
Oh, that's Thad Castle.
that is that castle.
What's he up to?
That is that
Reacher 3 just came out.
Oh, okay.
That's also one of the Ninja Turtles and the live action Teenage Mutant Ninja
He
Turtle
was
movie
funny
that
as
came
Thad
out a couple
Castle.
of years.
Now, I was confused about Reacher because Tom Cruise was the OG,
Very tiny.
and then they have season 1, and he's in it.
Well, when you fire someone, you hire the opposite.
That's a good point. We go from OC to DC to guy with head coaching
Yeah.
experience, back to DC, over to OC, back
called
to guy with head coaching experience.
Overcorrecting, baby.
Overcorrecting.
Overcorrecting.
Real quick, what does John Krasinski do? Is it
He's Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Okay, so I get these Michael Lewis,
Totally
agent books
understand that.
characters
Yeah.
completely confused. Feel like as long as I've been alive, there's been one of those. Oh my God, this guy's a secret agent book.
Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, James Bond.
Yeah, there's always an agent and always a book, and always a really good first season followed up by disappointment.
This guy gets it.
That's just life
Season
in
2
general.
of Reacher was okay.
I liked season 1 of Reacher was awesome. I didn't get to season 2, but I like season 1.
They're,
I watch shows on a very different timeline than everybody.
you just
else.
watch them off your TikTok?
I kind of I just watch them and then I'm like, all right, cool. Like I get to say that I did that and I get to talk about
Hey,
it.
TikTok might be saving the TV and movie industry.
It's true.
So
I totally agree with
my
that.
yesterday on TikTok, there was a movie with
Okay.
and
we can figure this
his
out.
name just escaped me
We can figure this out.
from
Tom Cruise.
Breaking Bad.
Bryan Cranston.
Aaron Paul.
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston.
Oh,
So-
where he shows up and he's the old guy and he plays the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never heard that movie out, but now I'm like hooked.
Oh yeah, the Paramount Plus movie with him and
Another old lady.
She's very popular, but they were playing the lottery.
Yeah.
And Rainn Wilson is in it as well.
Yeah. I
Jerry
saw
and
that.
Marge Go Large.
Jerry
Yeah.
Marge Go Large.
It looks like I want to watch it because of the clips I've seen on TikTok this week.
Because Rainn Wilson leaves his wife in the grocery
Yeah.
store in the supermarket and was like, yeah, and what even is that business that you're keeping? He's like, we
See,
win the lottery. every
Never
week."
heard this movie coming out. Now I want to watch it.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. A nice stand-up double of a movie.
So
Okay.
I found out about Chasers on YouTube Shorts with John Malkovich and
John Malkovich.
and Matt Damon. Is it Malkovich? I'm sorry.
No, John Malkovich.
Okay, I
That's
thought
right.
you were making fun of how I
Did you
said
get John Malkovich and Michael Vick confused?
No,
Is that
no,
what you just
I
said?
thought it was Malkovich
I
or
love John
Malkovich.
Malkovich.
I thought it was
okay,
Malkovich.
okay.
That would
Anyway,
be an odd confusion.
I told my dad,
Cyrus the Virus.
I go, have you ever seen the movie Chasers? And he goes, sit your butt down right now. And we sat down and he put on the movie. Apparently, my father, on demand, he used to buy movies. He's got this long catalog on demand. And in one of these long catalogs of movies he owns was Chasers. And we turned it on and we watched it.
Sounds like Josh.
Yeah. My dad has about each on-demand page is like 10 slots. He has 6, and this is pre-Netflix, pre-Hulu, pre-streaming. He has 6 full pages of movies that you can just go to on-demand with and just press purchase, and then you can rewatch it. It's incredible.
Wait,
The catalog's
are you
insane.
talking about Rounders?
Rounders, not Chasers? Wrong movie. Sorry.
Rounders is a well-known, incredible movie.
Yes, Rounders.
Yes.
Rounders, not Chasers. My apologies.
And Rounders is all over
Thank you.
TikTok as well.
It is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's why I said it.
just
Why did I
watch
say
it like a normal
Chasers? You guys
person.
said yes, yes, yes. Like I knew
Well,
what I was talking
I didn't
about.
know what you were talking
told you.
about.
I told you it was John Malkovich and Matt Damon. Who else is in that movie?
That is definitely Rounders.
Yes, it's Rounders. I
Rounders.
just got the title wrong.
This could be a fun day on Tennessee and Nebraska message
Yeah, I think
boards,
so.
just judging off a couple of the interactions.
Love some good times today. Love some good
I
times.
should have gone and played at Bristol.
All right. See you guys.
Well, you know what? Have a good weekend.
I will. I plan on it. It's going to be lovely outside, apparently.
Oh, the snow.
We're back.
Gone.
See you later. All right. That's the crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. It is Friday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
Cold weather advisory in effect Friday morning. Expect wind chill values 10 to 25 below zero to start the day. Becoming breezy as the wind picks up out of the south-southwest by late morning, gusting up to 20 miles per hour through the afternoon. Mostly sunny, staying cold with highs around 20. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday, everybody. I guess it is News Dump Friday after all. Usually doesn't happen at 10 o'clock in the morning, but here we are. Connor Happer, Josh Johnson with you, and all of a sudden, we're busy today. We got some things that we have to talk about, Josh, including the news, if you miss it, at the top of the crossover there. Nebraska and Tennessee Nebraska is canceling their non-conference game with Tennessee. There are two non-conference games with Tennessee, which were set to start next year, and then have the second game in Knoxville in 2027. And how about this, Josh? I know people care about this a lot.
Oh,
Big Ten Media Days has a new location, and it's the location that everybody thought that the Big Ten was heading to. Las Vegas.
wow.
Big Ten Media Days, a 3-day event at the Mandalay Bay in July of this year.
Prestigious.
Coming up in just a few months. Great news for all the many fans out there of the Vegas Flog, or the potential of the Vegas Flog. You know, might be back. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We thought it had died.
We thought it maybe had died, but it does have some new life. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday. Plenty to talk about today. Bryan Munson, Brian Christopherson, Steve Sipple, our regular Friday lineup. Those are our guests. The lineup powered by the referees, John Higgins, Weather Guard. We'd love to hear from you all today, the fans. Since you've been shafted by everybody else, we're still here for you.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know. People are. I think people have kind of gone to the they've taken the PR notices from the Nebraska athletic department or from college football athletic departments all over the country, and they'll try to explain to you how it's good. And obviously, Nebraska fans are so hungry to win, and so taking Tennessee off the schedule and putting Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio on there instead the next 2 years, that obviously gives Nebraska better chances to win football games. So, but we want to see that red and that orange clash. It was a fun matchup in the 2016 Music City Bowl. May that be the last between Nebraska and Tennessee.
Waiting 2 decades for this.
We've been waiting a long time, and it was near, but it is no longer. Josh, elsewhere today, we'll talk about that, of course, plenty. Hockey.
Oh,
pretty
we
good.
Have some hockey last night.
I'm wearing my USA hat. I feel patriotic today.
Even though they lost.
That's right. I still love my country, Josh.
Wow.
Still love my country. MLB and ESPN break up. Rob Manfred may have done something good. We'll discuss that during the show. We'll have our baseball roundup, getting ready for the weekend. We'll talk about the Big Ten and the SEC and throw this conversation right into that topic. I'm going to try and trigger Josh today.
Oh,
I don't think it'll be that hard. Josh has many, many opinions on the city's municipalities and the things that it chooses to do. I'm
already running hot.
I both have a public service announcement for you all this weekend to know about, and then it doubles as an excuse for Josh to rail, no pun intended, against some things that he is interested in the community. The Yankees can now grow well-kept beards. Congratulations to the Yankees.
It's only been 40, 50 years. Congratulations.
We have a decently full slate of spring training games today. If you were interested in watching sports during the day and you want to feel like you're not living in sub-zero temperatures here in Nebraska,
I would like that.
All right, good. Well, we have options for you. Josh, it is Friday, and we have many, many things to talk about. Many things to talk about. So let's do that.
Okay.
Want to hear from you all 402-951-1620. On the hotline, you can call or text that number, tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed, email Connor, Josh at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And of course, we say good morning to the YouTube streamers like O-Trips, who says, good morning, Happer and Josh.
Oh, good morning, O-Trips.
Good morning. Josh, where's your face, by the way, on the YouTube stream today?
Well, you see, they restarted all of these computers
Who's
last night.
they?
The director of video
decided
it was in the best interest to restart the computers, and now all the settings are different, and nobody bothered to reboot those and make sure everything was in place.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning. There was a whole show before us.
Great point, Connor.
All right. We are off and running on a Friday. Glad you're with us here on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Welcome back. Friday on the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you. The much anticipated Nebraska-Tennessee football home and home series planned for 2026 and 2027 is off the schedule and not likely to return.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Disaster. I can't believe it. Any of those things, really, that are notable in this situation. Josh?
Oh, no! Disaster!
Troy Dannon, Nebraska's athletic director, says, "We are making plans to embark on major renovations of Memorial Stadium that may impact our seating capacity for the 2027 season. The best scenario is for us to have 8 home games in 2027, which was the year that Nebraska was scheduled to play at Tennessee, to offset any potential revenue loss from a reduced capacity. The additional home games will have a tremendous economic benefit on the Lincoln community."
I can't believe it!
Dan had said to Sam McEwen earlier in the month, he says, quote, now there's a bit of a tussle going on right now between Nebraska and Tennessee. Dannon said, "I didn't like the model of 7 home games down 20%. When the ball, he said that during an interview in February when the ball was still in Tennessee's court to decide what might happen. Nebraska wanted to, according to Dannon, move the series back even further from its original scheduled date, which was 2016. It has been moved multiple times since. So Tennessee was hesitant on doing so, and Dannon said, I get it, totally. The Vols will play West Virginia at a neutral site in 2028, and then have a home series with Washington in 29 and 30. And they, according to Dannon, balked at the idea of moving the game yet again. Danny White, the athletic director at Tennessee, in response to Pete Thamel's tweet this morning, which said Tennessee and Nebraska are canceling their upcoming football series. Danny White said, correction, Tennessee is not canceling the series. Nebraska is canceling the series. We are very disappointed that they didn't want to play these games, especially this close to 2026. So, there you have it. Even though they're not going to play a game, the Nebraska-Tennessee rivalry rages on.
Can't afford to play a high-profile road game. Need the home game.
I just, as I said during the crossover, Josh, I just, like, I understand it. I know.
Yeah.
I know what they're trying to do here, and the point about being down in revenue, because you're going to have a reduced stadium capacity in 2027 is a tough pill to swallow. Nebraska has to do everything it can to try and recoup its money or make more money. And I know we're moving into this different world of college football where you had to pay $20.5 million to the student athletes and all these things. Basically, we need to find revenue streams. And if we're trying to find alternate revenue streams, then it would be disadvantageous for us to cancel a revenue stream that we already have. But Nebraska has to undergo stadium renovations. And so they say, all right, we really need an 8th home game in 2027. We can't go play at Tennessee. Once again, the disappointing part about this to me, and really, and we'll talk about this in the bigger picture SEC Big Ten topic of the day that we have a little bit later on in the show today. It's just it's all disappointing knowing that or feeling that the fans are the ones that are being hurt the most by all of this stuff. Whether it's being asked to pay money for things that you didn't have to pay money for, or donate to the athletic department in different ways. We're getting tapped out here. And so it would be nice, I think, for Nebraska fans. They were looking forward to maybe making a trip down to Tennessee in 2027 or having Tennessee come here next season, 2026, not this coming season, next season in 2026. And they won't get the opportunity to do that. Instead, on those dates where Nebraska was supposed to play Tennessee in 2026 and 2027, they will instead play Miami of Ohio and Bowling Green, or Bowling Green and then Miami of Ohio in those 2 games. And those don't necessarily do anything. Somebody commented in the YouTube comments earlier, and this person is right. Of course, Nebraska fans will show up. It's not like they'll boycott the game. They're going to show up for the game. And so...
Oh, you're going to call and tell us that you're turning in your season tickets that have been in your family for 9 generations, but,
Josh,
but you're full of it.
I don't know about that. I don't know how angry people are about this. I think people
have you checked the internet, Connor? People are very mad about this.
I think Tennessee fans are mad about it. Like, I want to know, and I think John put up a poll question, and so I'd be curious to see the results of that. Like, I would imagine that a lot of people had sort of just, with all the scheduling changes that have been happening around college football lately and the spring games going away and all those things, like maybe in the back of your head, you've been mentally preparing yourself to not have this particular game or premier non-conference games at all going forward.
If today shocks you, you have not been paying attention.
You have been mentally preparing for this the entire time, and therefore the blow hits a little bit softer. It doesn't certainly hit as hard as when Nebraska tried to get out of the Oklahoma game 4 months before it was supposed to happen in 2021. And that was Oklahoma. You're right. That was a little bit different. All right. So it doesn't quite hit as hard as that. And then the context here is important. And I also think, like I said before, we have sort of taken the, I think Nebraska fans like really desperately want to win, and their way to getting to X amount of wins is now made easier by the fact that they don't play Tennessee. Right. And so if you're following that logic, and if you're like, okay, well, that's fine. But I think these games are good for college football. I think these games are good for Nebraska and Tennessee.
It's good. It's good to still have one of those on the calendar in the non-con.
Absolutely,
each year, right?
It's something to look forward to.
Definitely.
But we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show. Like I said, non-conference games have always been a space where you can sort of conjure up unique and fun matchups. But with that being said, if the conference that you play in is 100 teams and it feels like the conference games are unique, the conference games themselves are unique and fun, then how does that make you feel about non-conference games against Tennessee or potential scheduling agreements between the Big Ten and the SEC where Nebraska is facing up against LSU? Do they lose their juice a little bit? I think so, which is why you'll see a couched reaction to this today. And I just go back to, I think the specific reason Nebraska is trying to get out of, or is getting out of this one, is because of what the changes that they have to make to their stadium. But I do think it also is going to be a piece of the puzzle in a bigger picture conversation about how stupid all of this is in college football.
Yes.
Where teams are moving games and they're canceling games off their schedule. And it comes at the expense of you. It comes at the expense of the fans. Unless, like I said, you just don't approach it that way anymore. Back in the day, it used to be formulaic. Nebraska's going to play Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas State, Kansas, Missouri. Sorry, did I miss anybody from the Big 12 North there? No, I think that's it. They're going to play all those schools from the Big 12 North. They're going to play 3 from the Big 12 South. And that's our schedule every single year. And it's formulaic in that way. We're going to have 2 cupcakes, 1 potential FCS team, and 1 like MAC team. And we're going to have a premier non-conference game because we're Nebraska, and that's what we do. We do premier non-conference games because it's fun. And it serves our fans, it serves our fan base, and people get excited for it. It's just not that way anymore. The conference games almost feel unique in some way. Nebraska's going to be hosting USC next year. They're going to be going to UCLA next year. They're going to be playing Washington and Oregon in conference in 2026 and 2027. And Rutgers and Maryland and Indiana and all these different things. I mean, Nebraska is in a unique place because this is all still sort of new to them because of how long they've been in the conference that they've been in, which in the grand scheme of college football is not that long, 15 years. Right. So these games have certainly lost their punch, and I don't think that's good for the sport. but I also don't think it's a reason to be like, well, why do we even need to do them? I like to have them there, and I think you guys should too, because it gets the fan base invigorated and excited and engaged. I mean, look at what's happening right now. Like you sort of mentioned, Josh. Like Tennessee and Nebraska fans just going at it right now on Twitter. You know,
you're soft. You didn't want to. You only play 8 conference games.
Yeah,
you're soft.
You don't get that when you play Miami of Ohio. You don't get that when you play Northern Iowa. You don't get that when you play Northern Illinois. It's two fan bases that are really strong, and they're online, and they want to defend their programs, and they want to defend their conferences and the way that they do business and stuff like that. I think it's great that that they were looking to play each other in the football field, but now they're not. So yeah, I don't think it's a good day for Nebraska. I do not think it's a good day for Nebraska.
Anytime you have marquee matchups fading away, it is bad. However, when this can't surprise people who have been following the state of the sport. Now, is there another shoe that's going to drop with the stadium renovation plan that's yet to be revealed, or the Big Ten SEC crossover? It sounds like Nebraska really just, hey, from a dollars and cents standpoint, we cannot go to your place in 2027.
Which I don't know how much I buy that. I don't know how much I buy that. That's going to be in the topic later too.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you guys, but so cook up your thoughts on that, and we'll bring them up in the noon hour. But we got a couple guests coming up, including Bryan Munson, who joins the show on the Connor Happer Show next on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson,
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right. It's Friday, 11 o'clock, sharp. We're joined now on the hotline by our good friend Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Hi, Munson. Good morning. How are you?
What's up, buddy? Did you stay up for the entire hockey game last night?
I did. I enjoyed it. Until, obviously they just left Connor McDavid open in front of the goal, but that's not.
Yeah. But I tell you what, how does that first one on goal make it through all those bodies?
Right. Yeah, that was nuts.
It was so, it was like the Matrix. I was like, how does nobody get touched by this puck? And it was just, and by the time it got picked up on, it was like way too late. So
yeah, I'm not a hockey expert, but I assume it's just like, hey, there's that many guys in front of in between me and the goal. I'm just gonna fling it in there and see if anything works out.
And I am beyond a casual hockey fan. I mean, I understand a little bit of it, and if it's on and there's really nothing else on, I'll watch it. I have to say though, the last two games have been two of the more entertaining things I have seen in a long time. And I think the U.S. team has got to feel really good about where the talent is at right now when it comes to their hockey, and the homegrown aspect of it. So I don't know, man. I mean, the Olympics are in 2 years, so that would be the Winter Olympics would be in a couple of years. So that would be
next year, right?
Next year, yeah.
Next year. You're right.
Yeah.
It is next year. So fascinating stuff. No, it was very entertaining to watch that for the four countries or for the country challenge. That was great.
Your reaction to the news this morning where Nebraska is out on their premier non-conference games over the next 2 years against Tennessee?
Yeah, I think we were kind of knowing it was going that way, but look, I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't looking forward to potentially going to a game in Knoxville. I'm not going to tell you that.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
I would have been it would have been fabulous. I mean, I look forward to maybe having another chance, maybe not against Nebraska, but to take in the game, sometime in Neyland. That would be an amazing experience. That being said, everything that it seems like Nebraska's kind of a trendsetter here, where it's like, ducking out on the spring game. Who else has followed suit? Now all of a sudden, you're seeing some of these bigger non-conference games, kind of get rescheduled and go towards, a little bit more palatable of a schedule. I think it's a lot because of the demands that go along with the Big Ten conference schedule. I mean, it is just a grueling conference. So not surprising, a little bit disappointing, I guess, personally for me. I'm sure Mike Eckler would have liked to have had a chance. But I think outside of that, not too surprising, I guess, is the way I would use to sum it up.
Hey, I think you make a good point there, just with like how you parse through the feelings on it. Like we were just sort of discussing that piece of it too. I get it. There's a revenue piece to this. You want to set yourself up in the best place for the playoff and, all the things in between that. But also personally, like I like big games. I like Nebraska seeing, I like seeing Nebraska play against other big brands. I like going to new stadiums, all those things. And I do feel like that has sort of gone by the wayside as we've gotten a little bit more, I think the meter, I guess the pendulum has swung more toward, all right, how do we put ourselves in the best position for the playoff? And then how do we put ourselves in the best position for making the most money? That's probably not good for fans.
No, it's not. And I was going to say, you just made two really good points. I mean, those big games that you would like to see in the preseason, now you're going to have to wait until hopefully at some point in round one, those two teams are playing against one another in the college football playoff. Otherwise, you're not ever going to see it. But number two, and I think this is what everybody's kind of saying in other words, I mean, if you get right down to it, drill down to it, money is reigning supreme in NCAA football. And if you can show ways to bring in more money, it is a cash cow, and they are finding every single way to basically get every penny and every cent out of it. So it's lost a little bit, for me when it comes to that, because there was always a real innocence to thinking about the kids that are basically going there and getting their school paid for and hopefully having that opportunity to go to the next level and play pro versus, well, we're basically a pro football, model, and this is becoming a factory.
Yep.
And it's really changed very aggressively in the last couple of years. So
no doubt.
it's going to take some adjusting to for me, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. That's kind of where I'm at as well. Munson, what's going on in recruiting right now? It feels quiet. I feel like this is a question that I ask you every week. Like, hey, what's going on with the idea of? Yeah, it just feels like kind of a quiet period right now. After the January push.
You're not wrong at all. I mean, we should start seeing some springtime visitors popping up here. We had one announced this morning, Luke Wolf, who is a 4-star defensive lineman from Middletown, New Jersey. He'll be in Nebraska the first part of April. And I expect more of these types of announcements to come, where, Nebraska knows that they've got a scrimmage or a big kind of a spring practice. And when I kind of expect for Nebraska to support the same kind of pattern and process that they did last year, where they didn't want to just open up the floodgates and let 30 visitors in for a single practice. It was a very specialized kind of thing where they kind of take the recruit and fold them into the week or fold them into the day, and they get a chance to kind of experience all of that. And I definitely feel like that was a huge selling point for guys like, Dawson Merritt. I felt like Cortez Mills got a really good dose of that as well. I think that those are really great ways to kind of get people involved and get them thinking about Nebraska a lot during that short amount of time that they can be there in Lincoln. So Luke Wolf is the first. I expect some others to happen. We're starting to see some official visits get set up. Not as many, I think, as what I kind of expected there would be. We've only seen one of the Elite Junior Day visitors that was the first weekend in February set up a return visit for an official visit in June, and that's Lincoln Watkins. And that's a big one because tight end actually is a very important part of the class for Nebraska. But there's a momentum here that I think that was coming off of February where you and I were talking about it, how the facilities were great. The coaches are incredibly personable. You had these about 20 recruits that were there that weekend in February. And then the coaches went on vacation, and we're kind of sitting here getting towards the end of February. And there's a couple, 3 weeks that have happened in the middle here that just some momentum has gotten lost. And you really need to kind of pick that back up again and either get the recruits scheduled for those April visits or get them in on the June visits, because they are scheduling those June weekends to go to other schools. And you and I know they fill up quick. And once you're kind of on the outside looking in, there aren't other ways to kind of make it work. And so Nebraska is going to have to come up with their plan and make sure that they're getting the guys that they want to have come in and visit, get them scheduled for that visit.
What did you read into the EJ Barthel stuff this week, where he pops up on the Texas list and then all of a sudden his contract comes out, and it sort of, I think, has given everybody an excuse to parse through sort of what has happened underneath his tutelage over the last couple of years, both from a position standpoint, the running back position, and a recruiting standpoint as well. Like, if you tie all that stuff in together, what have been your feelings this week on that position and what it may look like going forward?
Yeah, well, I think when Barthel's name came up, I think it speaks a lot to, I think, what the public opinion is of him as a coach, as an evaluator of talent. I think that he's I don't think people give him enough credit. I think he is he's well thought of nationally. I think that the pay raise, the extension to kind of keep him there is going to be fine for a year or two. And I kind of mentioned this earlier. It's going to be difficult, I think, to always just keep extending and keep coaches there. When you start mentioning those types of schools, Penn State and Texas, paying a premium for, an assistant coach, it seems to be money well spent based on kind of how things went, where, the programs that did well in the college football playoff, and where they put their money and they did invest into the coaching staff. That seems to be a great place to put that money to be successful. So yeah, I think it's an indication for everyone that he's a very well thought of assistant coach. I know I talked to somebody. It was so weird. That morning I reached out to somebody that I thought would know something. And as soon as they told me he's not going anywhere, the tweet was coming out that he had just signed the extension. But then they fired back another text to me and said, I don't think people understand how well thought of he is as a coach and how great of an eye he has for talent. So I think that there's a lot of there's a bigger perception of him out there that he's a great college football coach. And I think it's going to be a challenge for Matt Rhule to continue to keep his staff together, because I think as much as things are kind of bumping up in the salaries, I think you're going to find more and more programs are willing to go ahead and invest in the coaching staff.
Does that make you feel, I guess, how does that make you feel as it pertains to the guys that he has in his group coming in this year with guys like Jamarian Parker and Connor Booth? Because chances are, Munson, they're going to need probably one of those guys to be a factor for them this year, given how thin the room is at this point, unless they're really, unless Quentin Ives really takes a jump this offseason. I mean, the room is super interesting to me at the moment.
No, I totally agree with you. And it's, I think it's one of those things that it's going to do Booth a lot of good, because, I mean, obviously he was incredibly dinged up following the football season, a couple of injuries to his lower leg, to get back in there, get the rehabilitation right, get going into their strength and conditioning program. I mean, that's a guy that I'm really going to be interested to see how a focused program, that can kind of treat his body and get him ready for the spring, and how he kind of takes a step forward. But to your point about Parker's a guy that even when he saw like a practice last year in the spring, and he looked at what was there already in Lincoln, this was a kid that was going to be a senior in high school, just at the tail end of his junior year. He knew that he was different than everybody else that was already there in Lincoln. So I think Parker has supreme confidence. It's really going to be about the jump that he is going to have to make from playing ball in high school to the side of it about getting your body physically ready to play in the Big Ten. And I think that's where I kind of give Booth the edge. I think in the talent side, they're both incredibly talented guys. They're different looking dudes, and they can do different things. It's really going to be about who can take to the new structure around playing at the college level, and the things that are needed, obviously, when it comes to S&C and the nutritional side, and just having your body ready.
Yep. All right. It'll be one to watch. Looking forward. Munson, we'll let you go. Enjoy your weekend. Crack one open or whatever you're going to do next, or fire up 6 out of the 7 grills, and enjoy your weekend. Talk to you later.
I need to do that just to stay warm outside, bro. All right, bud.
No kidding.
See you, man.
Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. He had his section today in the Tunnel Talk, which you could check out on HuskerOnline.com. Okay, so since we have a couple minutes here, and I don't know where we'll squeeze it in elsewhere during the show, because now we got this stupid game that we're going to talk about and how you all are being taken advantage of. The hockey. Let's talk about the hockey last night.
Let's do that hockey.
Because BC is going to join us in like 10 or 15 minutes here.
Yeah.
So the question that I heard people asking last night after the game ended, and people were obviously captivated by this, and it was worth being captivated by. It was intense.
If that couldn't get you up, I don't know what can.
Well, take it easy, Josh. Easy. get you going.
Yeah.
Get you.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't do that on purpose.
Hold on.
Phrasing.
Okay, thank you. The question that I saw people asking last night was like, "Is this going to make you watch more hockey?" And I was like, "No, it's not going to make me watch more hockey. It's not going to make me watch. I'm like, let's be real about this. I'm not going to watch more hockey now because I saw a good hockey game in a one-off."
I mean, I'm somewhere in between a casual fan and a diehard.
So are you going to watch?
I don't know that I'm going to watch
hockey?
more. I'm probably going to stick to my couple games a week.
No, we can say that was really fun and great, and I'm treating it as a one-off.
I will also say that if you were watching that hockey game and wanted to watch more hockey, ESPN on the telecast did a good job of telling you, this player plays on this team. Here are the games coming up.
Yep.
Like they did a very good job of like, okay, if you liked this and want more, this is how to get it.
Can I tell you where ESPN I thought went a little too far?
Okay.
They really went heavy on the miracle stuff at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So much so that during Sean McDonough's open, following the Miracle clips, he was like, "Hey, by the way, you can catch Miracle right now streaming on Disney Plus."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is going on?"
Hey, if you hadn't put 2 and 2 together yet, let me just ask for the sale.
This is a movie.
This is a movie.
It's like, that happened in real life, right?
You can watch on Disney Plus. That's the guy.
Michael Ruzioni.
He's right there.
He's right there. That's that guy.
He's the short guy.
I was actually wondering, where is Michael Ruzioni? Not the guy who played Michael Ruzioni in the movie. I wanted to know where and turns out he was right there. He's shaking hands with Wayne Gretzky. He's trading a banner for him. So a little too heavy on the gas pedal on that one. But I think the question that we probably need to tap into is what allowed that new idea that pretty much everyone thought wasn't going to work at first. Remember, hockey was like,
I guess we'll do this instead of an all-star game.
Sure.
Okay. It's something.
All-star game's not really working. Okay, let's try this. And new ideas are oftentimes tough sells in sports, especially as it surrounds all-star games. I mean, we've been having a lot of different conversations this week. What allowed that new idea that nobody seemed to be super gung-ho about at first to thrive and feel organically awesome? That is pretty rare in sports. And I have an idea, and it's some of the things that the NHL players have been talking about over the last several days, including PK Subban, who we've talked about on this show a couple times.
What a breakout week it's been for him.
Yeah, I was looking for the next hockey take guy.
Yeah.
We found him.
Yeah.
He has definitely turned into that guy. He's good. Really good on TV. And it's just the intensity and the passion, and you can't it's organic. Those guys wanted to put on sweaters that said USA on it.
I can't half-ass this because I have my
because that means the other country gets to win.
Yeah.
And I can't have that happen.
In the American locker room, I can't half-ass this because there's a Johnny Hockey jersey hanging in the locker room when we go in there, and that guy didn't get to play in this. And I got to go out there and give it my all because I don't want to. They said it on the broadcast. I don't want to be the one who lets my country down.
Is it that simple? Because then I try to transport that thought over to the NBA, and I'm like, okay, if you did a USA versus World NBA All-Star game, it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work. It might work better than it does now, but that's not saying much.
The World Baseball Classic has done this. They have made it pretty organically fun and not just fun to watch, but also like the players care about it and it's tense and all the best players play and stuff like that. So
is it that organic versus forced thing? Like if the NBA did it, it would be forced. While
I don't know.
While it is kind of forced, it feels organic.
For whatever reason, you just have a really hard time getting NBA players to play basketball.
You'd think
to play more basketball. I don't know why it's so hard, but that's, as PK Subban said the other day, like that is baked into the culture and the DNA of the sport. And so how do you recreate that, or how is this idea such a massive success? And now what will other leagues try to do to copy off of this? And will it have the same results? My guess would be not really.
Not really. Don't
Not
copy
really.
this, because it's going to sound like you're copying it. NHL, you can't do this every year. Like, sorry. It will just diminishing returns year after year.
You think
Now,
so?
now next year's the Olympics, so
You'll
there
have
won't
it.
be a four nations face-off break.
There will just be the Olympics.
It'll just be the Olympics.
And they take off a month of the season to do the Olympics.
It's easy to get up for the Olympics.
And
Now in 2027, are you going to revisit this? Or are you going to go all-star game and then in 2028 bring it back?
That's a sport that prioritizes international play as well, where I don't know that has necessarily caught on in basketball in America, even though obviously USA basketball has a storied history. And when they played in the final this year, I mean, it was pretty epic.
Pretty intense.
It was pretty fun.
Remember when Steph Curry hit him with that night-night?
I do. And then Stephen Ashworth copied off of it.
Who?
It's pretty good.
Who?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Hit me, Fedor.
Stephen Ashworth! Stephen Ashworth!
Josh, people are pointing out that you got the score wrong.
I got the score. Oh, my God. I did get the score wrong. It was 3-2.
Did you even watch the game?
Sorry.
Do you even hockey?
In my head, everyone got an extra goal for going to the finals. Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Do you even hockey, Josh?
That's fair. No, these are fair things to say. I got to hold the L on this one.
Theory from the 308. Why did this work?
Hi, 308.
Because
did you know the score of the game?
I think they did. Because everyone secretly wants to punch their neighbor.
Oh. Well, okay. There's a little something.
Well, there's some U.S.-Canada stuff going on right now.
There's some topical things that might have juiced it a little more.
And Canada has been the monster in the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like in basketball, it's, USA has been at the top and everybody's trying to chase them. So I think it means probably a lot to those other countries, when they beat USA. It means a lot to America when they beat Canada. It meant a lot when they beat the USSR, Josh, in the movie Miracle.
Interesting. I'd like to see a clip from that. But also, I'd like to see that clip again 2 more times in the game. If you could show it at the start of the third period and the start of overtime.
They did.
That'd be great.
They kept ripping it. Did they? They're playing it again, aren't they?
They're playing the Miracle.
Is it different?
It looks like Kurt Russell's walking around the locker room with them.
Is it different? No, it's the same.
No, it's the same thing. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. It was well done.
Jason on the text line will give you the benefit of the doubt for not knowing the score. You were doing the metric conversion.
That's it. That's what it was. Thank you, Jason.
Shout out to Canada, I guess. Jimmy says Canada can have one sport on us. It's fine.
Oh, but if we...
No.
I mean,
they won last night.
They haven't hoisted that cup since 1993, and they are pissed.
That's the beauty of it, right? Because it's not our sport.
No, it's not.
It's not our sport. And so I think that's baked into the DNA of why this mattered, too.
The state of Florida has won like 3 Stanley Cups since Canada last won a Stanley Cup.
It's frankly embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's frankly embarrassing. So, yeah, we still have that. They definitely care more about it. Like, I thought it was funny, the visual of people either outside or inside TD Garden last night with like jorts and and bro tanks on.
Absolutely.
And like fake mullets. But shout out to them in Boston for respecting Canada.
They respected the anthem.
Yeah.
I didn't. I would not have guessed that. I would not have guessed that would have happened.
It was a little at first, and then they were like, you know what? I'm going to sing along. I'm drunk.
It's kind of a banger. I've had a few Molsons. I'll do it.
I'm drunk. Let's sing along with both anthems.
Legacy defining moment for Connor McDavid in a career that we'll probably have a few more of those. Yeah, I probably don't want to leave him open in overtime.
Yeah, bad call. Bad defense.
Yeah.
I don't know hockey, but that was bad defense.
Sean McDonough had said it was getting a little sloppy.
All right. We'll be back. Bryan Christopherson will join us on the other side. We'll get his thoughts on. Some people are saying the whole Nebraska-Tennessee thing is just a nothing burger.
A nothing burger?
Is it a nothing burger or is it a fully loaded burger? Add bacon plus $1. Add another patty plus $2.50. Is it that? I don't know. We'll find out next on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian.
Bryan Christopherson,
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're joined now on the hotline by Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. BC, you feeling any better? I heard you earlier in the week on the morning show. Or how we doing?
Yeah, I think I am. How do I sound?
You sound better. Maybe not quite like completely normal yet, but better.
Yeah, I'd say I'm about 85 to 90%. I've been telling my wife I'm like 98% because I'd like to be allowed to move out of the basement.
You're in quarantine.
Basically, it's like she doesn't want anything to do with me. So it's been a rough 5 days. I'm feeling pretty good.
Has the news this morning provided the, like, you eat some spicy food and it maybe unplugs you? Maybe the breaking news could be your spicy food this morning.
Yeah, maybe it does something to your senses, kind of gets you jolted. It didn't shock me though.
No.
It just that the Tennessee-Nebraska game always felt like something that will be played during my retirement years. And so I don't know if that'll ever happen or not, but it was originally scheduled in the Steve Peterson era, like back in 2006.
Yep.
And so it's set for 16, 17. And then of course, Tennessee I think they wanted to play that game at the Bristol Speedway, which was cool. It drew 150,000 and Nebraska got Oregon in place of it. I understand why fans might be bummed about it. I am. I mean, I was,
me too.
When I could barely talk on Tuesday with Gary and Matt, we were going over like, who would you like most like to see Nebraska play in the SEC if they had a package? And my answers were, I think LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. So Tennessee's definitely one of those teams that I think would be a cool matchup. I get it from Nebraska's standpoint. And I know Tennessee is going to throw this in Nebraska's face, and Nebraska is going to take a little heat for it. The other part I would remind is the SEC needs to start playing 9 conference games,
no doubt.
Too. So that should always be interjected whenever we're having conversations like this.
And I think they probably will, but I guess we've been saying that for a few years here. BC, I just like we've been talking about it the entire show, obviously, and the idea is like, I understand Nebraska, they need to get some revenue back from what they're going to be losing when their stadium is under construction, so they're going to have an 8th home game in 2027 rather than go to Knoxville. But I think the part that you just mentioned is what you have to balance it out with, which is, as a fan, like, these games are cool. And they're fun. And I think it serves the fan base, right? I don't know how much it serves the fan base to have an extra home game with, Miami of Ohio in 2027, but I don't know. So I think people are balancing those two ideas today.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where it's tough for an athletic director right now, because you do have to certainly think about all the finances, especially when you're, shifting your stadium around and we're going to renovate it here in a couple years. And, all those dollars count. That I also think the competitive standpoint with you play 9 conference games and one league's playing 8. Yep. I do think that's a part of this. Like, if you listen to Matt Rule on the Josh Pate interview this week, Pate was bringing up how, when you're in a league and you're playing like those conference games, like the Big Ten, it's not just like playing Ohio State and some of those teams that get you. It's the games against like Michigan State and Rutgers, and those are solid teams. And so when you play one more of those than the other power league that's right up there with you, I think that's fixing the craw of some people in the Big Ten. And so I do think that's part of the discussion here. But it's unfortunate, because I was excited to go to Knoxville and watch that game, as were, I'm sure, some Husker fans. But I can't say I'm surprised, and I also think right now it's sort of a fluid situation where we'll see what the schedules change. I'd like to see both conferences have 9 league games, and I would like that Big Ten SEC alliance where you have 1 game each year against each other, and then you have 2 non-con games where it's, you know, it's like Northern Iowa or whomever.
It's funny that we've seen this trend of you know, athletic directors across the country who are at places like Nebraska, right? It's not just Nebraska. We've seen a lot of these series go by the wayside over the last couple of years. We've seen the trend of kind of getting those games off the docket, and yet what you just said, and the things, you know, some of the buzz coming out of the SEC and Big Ten meetings and the college football meetings this week is, oh, well, there might be some sort of an alliance where they get together anyway. And so like there's this push and pull on, you know, we want to have the revenue. We want to create these awesome games for people to watch, great TV events and stuff like that. But also, you know, the playoff, you know, our schedule, if you're viewing it from the school's position, we want to make our schedule as winnable as I guess we could possibly make it, even though it doesn't seem to be moving that way on the grander scheme of things.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a deal where it's like we're not going this direction until everyone is jumping in the pool at the same time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know what I mean? And you know, if Nebraska's looking at, you know, Matt Rule and Troy Dannon looking at it, it's like, okay, we got 9 conference games, and then we got Tennessee in 26-27 in addition to that. Is there going to be enough of a reward for that when it comes to playoff consideration and stuff like that? Are you going to pay a price for it? So I think there probably is some interest like behind the scenes in getting sort of what we were talking about with that 9 conference games and SEC Big Ten thing. And then you got a pretty cool deal with 10 really good games and maybe 2 that are preseason type games. But it would require everyone to, I think, go in at the same time. Otherwise, people are going to feel like this is really uneven footing as far as like how the schedule balance is working out, trying to get to the playoff. And at the end of the day, well, these conversations kind of might stink for Nebraska today and this week. What's going to matter is like what your record is and what you do with that slate during the season. You know, that's when it's going to really count. So I get the layers to it. I don't think Troy Dannon's in a easy spot. I think he's a very sharp athletic director who's got reasons for everything he does, and I think some of those things we'll probably learn more about even over time.
How much harder do you think it'll continue to be, I guess, for Nebraska fans in this climate, in this situation where obviously Nebraska is trying to find both alternative revenue streams to, you know, to continue, you know, being a leader in the financial world and their athletic department. And also you're going to have this gigantic stadium renovation, which is going to take place over a long period of time, and NIL is still going to exist, and you have to have that to be competitive. It just feels like a lot, you know,
yeah, it does.
And a lot of it comes at the literal expense of the people who support the program, which is the fans.
Yeah. I mean, you're raising a good point, Connor. That's where you gotta be really savvy with this stuff and understand the balance here between making a decision like this and how your fan base is going to react to it. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly what the reaction is to this. Like, it's been pretty mixed on our board, and some people are like, "Yeah, that's fine."
I feel like the reaction is it's way different from what it was when Nebraska tried to get out of Oklahoma a couple years ago, right? Like, it's way more couched.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think I think people are disappointed because they do like those type of marquee games, and they also understand the couple of reasons in front of us why you would maybe do that. And so there's kind of going back and forth with it right now. But your point is well taken. Like, this is a very challenging time when you're trying to renovate a stadium, and you know, with the money shifting as it has in college athletics and everything with NIL and all this stuff, there's been a lot asked of Husker fans, and I know the folks over in the athletic department are respectful of that, but you're always weighing like how far do you go with this, or like what's the balancing act here? Because you do want to reward the people who have kept this thing going, even at times when most places would not have had the support that Nebraska has had.
BC, quickly before we let you go, Nebraska basketball. What do we do? What do we do with that result on Wednesday, especially coming off of what happened at Northwestern on Sunday? What does it mean in the grand scheme of things, and how do you sort of view this team now heading into a huge game on Monday against Michigan?
I was disappointed in most of that trip complete. I mean, I thought Fred said it really well in the post game on Wednesday. It's like played 15 good minutes. We're lucky to get a split. So in a way, like Nebraska fans are rightly kind of sickened by the performance against Penn State, but also is like kind of got out of Dodge on that trip. Okay, going 1-1 the way they played basketball for most of it. So that they've really got to right the ship. I think we've seen how much Berke means as a defender.
Yeah.
He's their best defender if you look at the metrics, and he helps them with the rebounding obviously a lot. And I know he's not always the most dynamite shooter, but I think people get so caught up in that sometimes you lose sight of all the other little things he does. But I don't know if he'll be ready for Michigan or not. It's going to be close call there. He's going to do a live workout like Sunday, like where maybe he can prove he's ready to go. But that's going to be tough to jump right back into it against Michigan. So I think they just got to recalibrate and say, you know what, right now, if you look at a lot of the brackets and stuff, they're like kind of in that 10, 11 seed. You're in position that some people didn't think this team would have been in even like 3 weeks ago. So they have had a pretty good stretch of basketball, all said. And, refresh yourself. You're at home. It's a big Monday game. It should be a great environment. And they've just got to come out with that energy in this first 5 minutes. It's like you can always kind of tell with this team real quick, like what kind of day it's going to be like before that first media timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And the last few times, they got away with it, obviously, at Northwestern, but they've got to come out with some juice on Monday.
All right, BC. Enjoy your weekend, my friend. Good to talk to you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 247. Of course, Nebraska basketball on Monday against Michigan. Our friend Brett McMurphy,
Brett,
an expert of all things scheduling and birthdays.
Yes, happy birthday, Bronco Mendenhall.
So
today.
Earlier reported that Nebraska has to pay $500,000 to get out of the series with Tennessee in 26 and 27. He is now reporting that Nebraska must pay $500,000 for each game.
Ooh.
Josh, what's 500,000 plus 500,000?
Hold on. I'm almost there.
Dr. Evil.
$1 million.
$1 million, which is about what you would get from doing a spring game.
Oh no.
Okay. All right. I know we have a caller who wants to talk about this, but we do have to get to the odd news first, and then we'll open it back up for you all. Coming up in just a few minutes on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
It's glorious.
Yeah, I see a day on the First Alert 6 weather broadcast right now that says mild. Two of them in the next week.
Flirting with 60 on Tuesday.
All right. Mm-hmm. I'm not full on taunting the snow yet because I know that it's still possible here. But next week is going to feel really nice compared to, it'll be the great thaw of 2025. We're starting it right now.
That's all we really needed.
Josh, what do we got today?
Last night was the return of Inside the NBA into its studio format. It went on the road last week, and they addressed the issue of Bobby Portis being suspended for 25 games by the NBA for failing a drug test. Now, Portis contends that he got prescribed the wrong painkiller, tramadol versus Toradol.
Sure.
Which I guess kind of does make sense if you need an excuse. But Shaq told a story of the 1996 Olympic Games where he tested positive for cocaine. He ate a poppy seed muffin and tested positive for cocaine.
There you go.
Like something right out of Seinfeld. I tested positive for cocaine. I was like, hold on. First of all, the Sarge would kill me. My mother would kill me. I've never done anything like that. Then they did the research, and the poppy seed muffins are the same derivative as cocaine. So that's the only problem I have with, the NBA said they tell you not to take this and that, but something that's not on that list can be a derivative of something that you're not supposed to take, and you can mess it up that way.
I don't know how cocaine works, but how much cocaine would Shaq need compared to a regular person amount of cocaine?
I feel like a lot, right?
Yeah. I would not want to see Shaq on cocaine.
Poll question.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to see it.
Would you want to see Shaq on cocaine?
He's maybe one of the few people out there is like, I totally believe him when he said he wouldn't do that. I really believe him.
Yeah.
I don't think he would.
And would he take a duffel bag full of cash? Yes, of course. Who among us hasn't?
Yes. That was in a movie too.
That was. Speaking of the criminal masterminds among us, 2 Colorado men arrested for attempting to smuggle $112,000 worth of tobacco and $89,000, just say $90,000 worth of meth into a federal prison using a compressed air cannon. Grant Parish Sheriff Stephen McCain says they were not successful. Thanks to a very observant deputy, he was able to stop it before they were able to get the drugs into the prison. An 18-year-old and a 19-year-old launched a plan involving launching contraband over the prison's security fence.
A plan. So they were trying to shoot out of a t-shirt cannon.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a potato gun.
And what were they trying to sneak in?
Tobacco and meth.
Tobacco and meth. Mm-hmm. Would they have been in better shape if it was just tobacco?
Probably. Okay, here just cartons of smokes.
Yeah. Still don't want the prisoners to have it. Still contraband, but not quite as contrabandy as meth. You don't want to have the meth in the prisons.
No, you really don't.
That would be bad.
And finally, in the odd news, truck spill of the week.
Hello.
We go to Oklahoma, where Oklahoma Highway Patrol responded to a semi-truck crash where, Connor, an extremely expensive item has been spilled across the snowy highways of Oklahoma.
Extremely expensive item.
Yep. Think of like the most expensive thing that would cause a panic in American society if it were to spill across the roadway. It's an epidemic.
Stanley water bottles.
That would, but no.
Okay. Am I on the right track?
It is a consumable.
Okay. Well, the water bottle themselves aren't consumable.
That's right.
Gasoline.
No, more expensive, more panic.
More expensive, more panic. Is it liquid?
No. Well, no.
All right. Just tell me.
Eggs.
Not eggs. God, not the eggs. Is this going to make eggs more expensive? Could you imagine?
They're going to skyrocket.
I'm paying now 30 cents more for eggs.
And the Oklahoma Highway Patrol says, quote, the semi was hauling eggs. Expensive cargo right now.
Yeah, of course. You have to make that joke.
You do.
Look at me. I'm dead serious. When I went to Costco a couple weeks ago and I got a thing of eggs, I went up and I put it up, or maybe it was Hy-Vee or whatever. And I put the eggs on the thing and they were like, did you check the eggs? And I'm like, yeah. Was like, let me make sure. Let me check the eggs for you again because we don't need you to have any broken eggs right now, because they're really expensive. And I'm like, dude, I checked the eggs, first of all. Second of all, it's really okay. It's $4.
This guy's got $4 just lying around.
I do. I'm sorry. I do.
Wow. I can't believe you would flaunt that in front of our audience.
And you'll get paid back for it. This morning, I went to my dearly beloved bagel bin, and I got 2 everything bagels with cream cheese.
Why aren't they sponsoring this show yet?
I love that.
This show is quite literally powered by Bagel Bin.
I love that place so much. And I went there, and then when I got to the checkout, the woman at the behind the counter, who I probably should know her name by now.
You should.
She was like, can I interest you in a little cinnamon roll bun type of deal? Ooh. I'm like, you don't have to bribe me. Free.
Twist my arm. Free?
Free of charge.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
So if I would have had to spend money on that,
what they say, when you have the money to pay for things, you don't have to.
It wasn't because I was me. It was not because it was me. I was just a guy. I'm just a guy who likes Bagel Bin.
And tells the people when he goes into the Bagel Bin, do not look me in the eye. I am Connor Happer. I'm very rich.
I was at the store yesterday, and a listener of the show, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Came up to me and he said, hey, really appreciate the show. And then I started explaining to him why I was at the store. I was like, I need to get cold slaw and buns because I have barbecue pulled pork at home.
Okay.
And that was my interaction yesterday at the store because I was like,
why did you feel the need
I don't know.
Explain
It was
yourself?
A nervous tick.
Okay. That's fine. It's
like, here's why I'm here.
I'm not doing anything
He's
wrong.
like, well, I just wanted to say that I like the show, man. It's like, I'm buying buns and coleslaw.
Totally normal.
I don't know why I did that. I'm not sure. Sorry, Taylor. It's probably a bad experience.
Hey, guys, I met Connor Happer. He is a weirdo.
We have 1 minute here. We'll save this story. I have an odd news story that I was going to give you today.
Oh, yeah, you took all the good ones.
We may do it a little bit later in the show. All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
Noon hour. You gonna just turn my mic off, Josh?
I didn't.
Oh,
I turned my mic off.
My headphones went out for some reason.
I can't comment on why that would be.
We'll be
back. We had a truce.
If we still have a caller waiting, Chris, you've been on the line for nearly 19 minutes. Wow. Trust me, we'll get to you if you're still there, which there's no way to know. Coming up,
we had a truce.
Josh can't comment. 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. High noon. Here the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. The news this morning is that Nebraska football is running scared.
Cowardice.
Or needs money. Either way, it's a bad look. Right? Either they're running scared or they need money.
Aren't they the only program in the country
Yeah, I
that
thought they
is
had money.
good?
Let's take a phone call. Chris has been waiting on the line for more than 23 minutes now. Wow. Chris, thank you so much for calling. What's going on?
So I was very much looking forward to going down to Knoxville with my 2 sizes too small Nebraska t-shirt. My daughter is actually a recruit to Tennessee and starts there next year.
Oh, congrats.
And yeah, and so I think you have now subjected her to relentless abuse and bullying because they're not gonna take it lightly. I mean, they're rabid fans just like Nebraska is, and I just think the optics of this is really bad. I understand the SEC should play 9 games. I understand all that, the money aspect of it, but man, I was really looking forward to that game.
Chris, I was too, my friend. It is bad optics, and I'm sorry that your daughter now has to take this heat from all of the people when they find out that she's from Nebraska. Oh, Nebraska? You mean the people who don't want to play us in football? That's all she's going to hear for the next 4 years.
That's true.
Very sad.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah. Tough look for Chris's daughter.
Probably going to have to transfer now.
Go somewhere. We should go to Nebraska, maybe.
Go pro in something other than sports.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's the I don't like it. I've come all the way back around to I don't like it. When
you're a roller coaster of emotions.
Well, I think once again we have been sort of desensitized to stuff like this because it's happening all across the country, and there's definitely reasons why. It's all the things that we've already talked about. Plus, you want to create an easy schedule for yourself. And yes, the SEC does not play 9 conference games yet. And people are like,
don't?
Hey, I'm not going to be, I'm like, how is this Nebraska's fault when the SEC entirely as a conference still doesn't even play 9 conference games? How about get on our level? First of all, and once again, I think they will. Like I said, although we've been saying that for a while, but I just, I miss when we used to welcome games like this and be excited about games like this. Some of the most memorable some of the most memorable games that Nebraska's had at Memorial Stadium over the last 2 decades have been non-conference games. Miami 2014.
Sure.
Not Miami. What's the Billy Joel song? Miami 2021 or Miami 2023 or something like that. Not that. Miami 2014. Miami 2017. Seeing the lights go down on Broadway. You know that song? Nope, you don't.
I do not.
All right. Great song. I think it's called Miami 2017.
Was it in Oliver and Company?
No.
Then I don't know it.
Miami 2014. Oregon 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, those 2 games are at the top of the list of games in the crap era for if the crap era is the last 10 years, those couple games. I mean, Michigan State 2015, and Michigan 2021, even in a loss. Those 2 are conference games, obviously, but I mean, it gives you a unique opportunity in a good weather environment, right? You get to showcase Nebraska, and Nebraska has to cancel the series, according to them, entirely because either they couldn't afford they're. Now, I don't know how much I buy this, Josh. How much
keep saying that?
How much do you buy that they felt like they desperately needed to play an 8th home game in 2027 to make up for their lost revenue.
Okay.
That they're going to be losing when the stadium goes under construction for the next couple of years.
Do we all remember our SAT prep courses and our ACT prep courses where they did those analogies?
Yes.
Nebraska canceling Tennessee due to money.
Yep.
Is like Nebraska canceling its spring game due to tampering.
They're both fake reasons.
I guess, yeah, sure, but that ain't it.
What is it then? What is it? Because if you're canceling the spring game, you're creating a whole nother thing for yourself where you have to create another stream of revenue. Canceling the Tennessee game is theoretically giving you more revenue back because you're getting an extra home game in 2027. But as somebody put on their YouTube comments earlier, like, I'd be curious to see what Nebraska makes off of a home game against Miami of Ohio compared to what they make against a home game against Tennessee.
One Tennessee is probably greater than 3 Miami of Ohio's,
maybe,
or whatever the other.
I don't know what
are.
the math is on that.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk to Sipple and maybe ask him some of those questions in a little bit.
Know.
But like, I don't know. So I think the spring game not being there does come into play a little bit. Because the whole thing with
hard
that,
up for cash.
The whole thing with that is we felt like, oh, okay, if they felt like they can make up for it in alternative revenue streams and they're not going to make $1 million off the spring game or whatever the number might be, then fine, whatever, who cares? I could care less about the spring game existing. It doesn't bother me. I do care about this. And the spring game was a moneymaker for them that's not going to be there anymore, at least in the same capacity they was. I mean, Dannon talked about it being free. So it's definitely not going to be a moneymaker.
I mean, it could be Nebraska improving their potential path to a playoff. It could be Matt Rule saying, the seat might get a little hot. I'd like some coverage with Bowling Green instead of Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, it really could be.
Or it could just be.
But it's been Rule who's been talking about playing in the super conference with the scheduling agreements and like he wants to play these games because I think I view him as like a college football, purist in sort of a way. I don't like, it doesn't add up. It doesn't really add up to me.
Interesting comment from Chance in the YouTube stream that involves nothing about tragedy.
Thank you, Chance.
It will also make Nebraska fans reconsider some things. If only someone had wanted to start the stadium renovation sooner. Wish we had a guy like that at Nebraska. Oh, boy. If only someone had tried to tell you.
Some things, Chance can speak to this. Some things happen without notice. There's just nothing that they could do. Well, yeah. Because the stadium would be under renovation right now. But it still wouldn't be done by the time that they were scheduled to have the home game with Tennessee. It'd still be undergoing the renovation. Like basically, the math on that is we're going to spend 2 years or 3 years without 20% of our regular revenue for home games, regardless of when it happens.
I mean, in that situation, don't you think you could probably, hey, Tennessee, you want to flip the home and home? Just you do 26, we'll do 27. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
MK writes in on YouTube.
Hi, MK.
It seems like the math checks out. Lose an eighth of your capacity and replace it with an eighth game on the schedule. All right, but once again, like the question that I'm asking is losing an eighth of your capacity over X amount of time really that irreplaceable, especially if you just deleted the spring game, which is a revenue source. I don't know. Like I'm not sure that I buy that. I'm not sure that I buy that. And I know I've said that a lot today.
I'm not mad that this happened.
I don't think you're mad at all, and that's okay. You don't have to be angry about this.
It could have, like, Rule and Dannon just and I understand that's probably why this came out when it did. They just talked to everybody. Like you could have addressed it instead of it just happening and like, well, why did that happen? Why did that happen? Like you could have come up with something. Rule just talked with Pate for an hour. Dannon just talked with Andy for God knows how long.
Yeah, no, Dannon's been on the interview circuit for the last several weeks here. And once again, I think there's a variety of different, just like there was with the spring game. I think there's a variety of different reasons why you want to sort of get out of this thing. But if you're not like, if part of the answer even involves like, hey, we want to make our schedule a little bit easier because we want to make it to the college football playoff, then you can't actually say that out loud. So I think there's that part of it as well. And there's no doubt. I mean, putting an 8th home game on the schedule and taking off Tennessee in 2027 gives Nebraska a better chance to go to the college football playoff. It like absolutely does. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's where the argument ends for some people. That's where some people are just like, all right, cool. That's it. I want to put Nebraska in the best position to be successful at the national level again. I mean, Iowa's been playing cupcake non-conference schedules for years. They don't play jack in the non-con. And look at them. They've had a lot of success in the non-conference. They had their game with Iowa State every year, and then they played like 3 Nevadas or 2 Nevadas or whatever it might be. You know, like they've had some success doing that. Wisconsin's had some success, although they've intermittently scheduled tough.
Indiana had some success.
Indiana certainly had some success this year. So, like I said, like, if that's where it starts and ends for you, fine. But I think it's more about a bigger picture for me. Like I like these games. I like watching these games. I think they're good for fan bases. I think they invigorate fan bases. I mean, think about, Josh, the Colorado game happened the second game last year.
It sure did. I remember it fondly.
What happened after that? The Northern Iowa game.
Yes.
And then was it the Illinois game after that? Or was there another game in between that? I guess that would have been it, right? Like, I think about our Septembers when Nebraska doesn't have a signature non-conference game, or after the signature non-conference game. It gets pretty boring around here for a little while. The fan base does not get invigorated. Like, I think there is some added value and there is some benefit, maybe not monetarily, but to have people daily invested in your team. And to be going on the internet and talking trash to the other fan bases, talking about how we do it better in the Big Ten and we do it. But like, these are two fan bases that think very highly of themselves as far as their home environments are concerned. And we would have finally got an opportunity to compare the two 1-over-1. Does that make you anything monetarily? No, but I think it invigorates your fan base.
Yeah.
I think it invigorates your fan base. It wakes them up a little bit. Things can get a little bit sleepy around here during September when Nebraska's not playing anybody. We've seen Septembers like that before. And yes, ultimately you want to win football games.
Win games.
But I also don't I want to play good teams too. Nebraska is still one of those teams that can get these games because it is a brand and it has a great helmet and it has a great tradition and all of those things. And we're just we're throwing that away, which is disappointing to me.
Losing a bit of our soul.
Yeah. Andrew writes in on Twitter, by the way.
Hi, Andrew.
We were thinking about the memorable non-conference games. I would say 2022 Georgia Southern is a very memorable non-conference game at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, Connor, what'd you think of that game?
That's true. Maybe the 2027 Miami of Ohio game will be the game where Rule gets fired. Now, wouldn't that be a twist of irony?
I guess, yeah, it would.
You take Tennessee off the schedule because you're trying to not get fired and you're trying to make the college football playoff. And instead, the 2027 game you got to replace it, or the eighth, your replacement 8th game is ultimately the Georgia Southern game of 2022.
It is your death nail.
That would be pretty funny. And ironic. Not really funny, but like ironic.
Yeah.
To the phones on the hotline here. Here is Scott. Hey, Scott, what's going on?
Gentlemen, thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
So this whole deal,
The bucket just doesn't hold water for me. It's got too many holes in it. So is the plan still to reduce the capacity of the stadium?
Yes.
A reduction in revenue anyway?
Correct.
So ultimately, like you've been saying all day, the fans are going to pay the price, and or we're planning on having 8 home games for the rest of eternity because we reduced capacity. So this whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott, I don't know. Like, I mean, you're not going to have 8 home games, I don't think, for the rest of time, but they look at it in like a short-term window.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any way that you're having 8 home games. But you're either that or you're obviously raising the price of the tickets because you're reducing capacity if you want to generate the same amount of revenue.
Yeah.
Like ticket sales alone.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead if you got more.
They work great. Everything works
No,
great.
that was not the phone. It's just phones in general in that case. It's like, I didn't want to kick him off the air if he had more things to say. But yeah, I mean, like, I think they look at it in like this kind of shorter term, window. But there's no doubt. I mean, but they hope that the stadium can provide, like the redo of the stadium can provide extra revenue streams that they didn't have before. It's got better Wi-Fi, or it's got beer sales, and it's they are selling beer, and there's things inside of the stadium that you could visit, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't, like, that ultimately proves a larger point here, which is there is a lot of different ways to make money. There's a lot of different ways to make money. And if you need more money to make up for the fact that you're not going to be making as much money, it doesn't have to be, like, I felt like they took I think they took the low-hanging fruit. They just took the easiest thing. They were just like, okay, cool. Take this game off the schedule, and then we'll just replace it with a home game, and then bang, we get that money back right away. Like, if you really follow the money line, if you really follow the money part of this thing, when you could get creative, why not replace, if you're going to be missing 20% of your capacity for however many years, why not do a concert? I mean, I don't know. Do 4 concerts. Do a Bud Crawford fight. Like, I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot more possible ways where you can recoup the revenue that you're losing. Right? So that's to Scott's point, that it just doesn't all, like, there's holes in the bucket, as he said.
Could I just say, like, the obvious thing that, like, hey, maybe with that $20 million line item, maybe we figure out how that works first before we do this stadium renovation project.
Well, that's the other thing, Josh. They clearly feel like they could do all of it. They could take the revenue hit from home games. They could they could be a full investor in the revenue share, the $20+ million that they're going to be paying some student athletes starting this upcoming year. And they can do a $1 billion stadium, but what might end up being a $1 billion stadium project. If they weren't comfortable with all of those things, then one of those things wouldn't exist, right? They wouldn't be a full investor into the revenue sharing part of this. They wouldn't be doing the stadium as aggressively as they are doing the stadium, because they are aggressively doing the stadium, folks.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
Yes.
I mean, this is a university that historically is pretty good with its money.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of trust them to know what they're doing here.
Right.
But I have some questions.
Yeah. So those are all the reasons why the money thing doesn't really hold up, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I got rid of the spring game. People forget that. Ah, man. Let's see. We have some emails here.
Love a good email.
Chris writes in, Nebraska has a brand. The problem now is Nebraska's brand is that of a cautionary tale. It's not a good brand for the last decade. John emails in.
Hi, John.
Does Rule really mean what he says? It doesn't look like it on the field. Every time he opens his mouth to preach, he sounds more and more like a snake oil salesman.
Was
Dang.
that Greg in Myrtle Beach?
That was not. That was John.
John in Myrtle Beach?
That was just John. Just regular old John. John also doesn't give two bleeps about the SEC only playing 8 conference games. That's a BS excuse. That by the people that know, I'm heavily editing this, by the way, that they have to start winning games instead of staying the absolute losers they are. Nebraska's screwing over their fans again. You know where else you could get another $1 million from another overpriced, worthless tight ends coach.
Oh no.
It was a heavily redacted email. Tom writes in on Twitter, "This sucks."
The show?
No, I think this situation.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're saying. Yeah. Yeah. So I found that people are arriving here that are angry. And I'm glad.
They're washing upon our shores?
I'm glad because I think that you should feel some type of way about this. Like, I don't feel like they have been like conditioning us to be desensitized to stuff like this happening. Right? Well, it's money and we want to play, we want to get into the college football playoffs. So there it is. You're like, no, well, I want to play good games. I want my season tickets to have value, And Nebraska is. Like in 2027, like I said, they're going to play, I think that's the year that they play. Let me go here.
I want to be excited about something.
Home games in 2027, now that Miami of Ohio, so you have 3 non-conference games at this point. Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio, and Northern Iowa. You have Iowa at home on Black Friday. You got Minnesota at home. You got Oregon at home that year. You got Purdue and Rutgers. So everybody's looking at Oregon. It's like, okay, there's my value game this year. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have another value game on top of there. That's for sure. And once again, I understand that some people are just like, look, simple as this for me. I want Nebraska to go to the college football playoff, and I want to win games. So I want to play Miami of Ohio 12 times. I just can't see it that way. I just do not see it that way.
That's the path to the playoff. For Nebraska.
Absolutely. Winning as many games as you possibly can is a path to better. Absolutely. I mean, how many years did the people in charge of the Nebraska athletic department, whether it be the football coach or the athletic director, say, like, hey, this is really, really hard, and we have to help ourselves a little bit. So once again, I get it. But I also think that comes without an admission that Nebraska is not holding up their end of the bargain on the football side of things. Yeah, easier teams are easier to beat, but I want Nebraska to be able to beat good teams. I think we should hold them to the standard of being able to beat good teams. Why does it automatically have to be 3 losses on the schedule just because you play Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan, or whatever it might be? It doesn't have to be that way. Nebraska just stinks at football. It does not have to be that way. Nebraska can be one of those teams. They just haven't been over the last several years. So, yeah, I think it's an admission that you're sort of in that category as well. Steve Sipple is going to join the show here in just a couple minutes. And we'll ask him about some of these things. We got spring training baseball on right now.
Baseball.
Full slate of spring training games today, Josh. Rays and Yankees at the Yankees spring training site, which is also the Rays regular season site.
Awkward.
People forget that. Dodgers, Cubs, Royals, Rangers, Rockies, D-backs, Mariners, Padres. Happy roommate day to all those teams. All those teams share spring training sites in Arizona. And, of course, we have Northeastern University and the Boston Red Sox going on right now.
Classic matchup.
Speaking of the Yankees, Josh?
I can't believe it!
The Yankees put out a press release this morning, and they have altered their facial hair policy. Here's a statement from Hal Steinbrenner. In recent weeks, I've spoken to a large number of former or current Yankees spanning several eras to elicit their perspectives on our longstanding facial hair and grooming policy, and I appreciate their earnest and varied feedback. These most recent conversations are an extension of an ongoing internal dialogue that dates back several years. Ultimately, the final decision rests with me, and after great consideration, we will be amending our expectations to allow our players and uniform personnel to have well-groomed beards moving forward. It is the appropriate time to move beyond the familiar comfort of our former policy. Well-groomed beards, Josh. So Brandon Marsh still can't play for the Yankees.
That's right.
Not well-groomed. The Yankees, well, the operating theory is that there was a growing concern among the Yankee community that they were actually missing out on some players in the free agency market, potentially partly because of this.
Wow.
And it is an old, outdated thing. There's no doubt about it. So tradition in Nebraska is dying, and now tradition in the Bronx is dying as well. Another day where the Yankees and the Nebraska Cornhuskers handshake meme.
That is happening more and more, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Indeed. Congratulations to the Yankees who are growing out their beards now, and there's also the weird thing that's going around about how they enacted this policy of allowing people to have beards only after all the Yankees showed up for spring training, reported for spring training without beards, and took a team picture.
So it's really going to be a year before.
No, I don't think it'll be a year. I think you'd be surprised, Josh, at how quickly people can grow beards.
Well, but before it hits the media guides.
No, I think they take it. I think there's many team pictures.
They're not retaking photos.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
You get one picture day.
Now you get one picture day for like the graphics on the screen during the game.
Yeah, remember? And Jimmy Butler plays pranks on people and then asks for more money. Hey, I take this job very seriously. I'm emo Jimmy Butler. Can I have some more money now?
No.
I'm also not washed at all.
Definitely not. All right, coming up next, we'll talk to Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. I think he's coming on the show because he liked our tweet earlier.
So he does know about it. Okay.
He is aware.
That's good.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. As you can tell, that is not Steve Sipple's open.
It's not. It could be.
So we'll get a text in 10 minutes and it'll be like, hey, call me now. And so he'll probably join us at 12:45.
I'm jammed up.
We'll see. Straight to voicemail.
Twice.
It's kind of jarring, isn't it?
It is.
It's either a quick ignore or his phone is off, which is not the case.
Okay.
That it's not off. I don't think.
Chasing down a story.
Well, I mean, maybe there is some news going on right now
on this Tennessee angle.
Yeah. Maybe he's talking to Danny White or Josh Heupel or something like that. Anyway,
Close personal friend.
So we have a couple things to get to in the meantime. First, Josh, I'd like to remind you that
yes,
Creighton is playing Georgetown on Sunday.
This Sunday?
This Sunday at CHI Health Center, which is in downtown Omaha. CHI Health Center is also the home of the state wrestling meet, which is going on this week and finishes up tomorrow. Large contingency of people going
from
downtown.
all over our great state.
So this will be our Creighton Georgetown preview. Of course, Creighton knows Georgetown a little bit. Jackson McAndrews said this afternoon, hey, it feels like they punked us last time. They did. But I will remind people that game was more than 3 months ago. So,
and respect to Ed Cooley.
Or more than, I can't do math, 2 months ago. December. I think it was December 18th. It wasn't good. But Creighton was a different team back then. We'll see if Georgetown has Thomas Sorber on Sunday. There's your Creighton preview. But this is mainly a public service announcement for you all. Heed our warning now. Interstate 480 will be closed the whole weekend, starting tonight at 9 o'clock, because they're tearing out the Harney Street Bridge. There will be no direct link to the North Freeway, which you could get on Cumming Street from the North Freeway. I know people take that to get to the CHIL Center. May God have mercy on your souls. People forget that the last day of the State High School Wrestling Championships is Saturday, a giant event that usually draws about a sold-out crowd at CHI Health Center.
Of people from outside of Omaha who may not know.
Already don't know what they're doing. Yes. So you may be asking, Connor, why are they taking out the Harney Street Bridge on a weekend where people need to get downtown, or any day, period? It seems like a perfectly fine bridge to me. There's nothing wrong with the bridge. Well, Josh, this is where you come in.
Me?
It turns out you must make a stronger bridge if you want to put a streetcar on top of it. And that is what they're doing. Harney Street Bridge out, streetcar bridge up, and no 480 use in the meantime, which will cause inevitable pain for everyone in the metro area and those outside of it, either going to the Creighton game this weekend or the state wrestling championships tomorrow. So, Josh, what do you think?
I think that there are better times to install your legacy vanity project than during basketball season. I understand you don't want to do it during the College World Series. I get that. Totally get that. That makes sense. However, there's a wide swath of time. You could have waited 2 weeks. And then blown it up.
Now, Josh, let me play devil's advocate here.
Oh yeah, sure.
Anytime you delete Interstate 480 for 3 days is going to be a problem.
Oh, sure.
It's going to be a problem.
No perfect time to do it.
And people are going to be confused about it. There's no good time to do it.
Gee, I also wonder if it'll just take 3 days or if it'll go over by any amount of time.
But just remember, none of this needs to happen if not for our dear friend Streetcar. A streetcar named Desire.
You know, I am coming around on the streetcar. I think.
Really?
I do think our cities unhoused do need a nicer place to sleep. Oh, but Josh, the Kansas City streetcar works great. Yes, the Kansas City streetcar works great because it goes places people want to go. It's not trying to revitalize a dead area of town for your real estate investor friends. If I was elected mayor, I would never. Also, if I was running for mayor, I would never say racist things. All you had to do was be a not racist fire captain, and you couldn't even do that. You couldn't even do that. You couldn't keep your mouth shut for 4 months. You couldn't even do that.
Brian emails in.
Hi, Brian.
CHI this weekend. Don't forget that the outdoor boat, sport, and travel show this weekend as well.
Isn't there a circus in town this weekend?
Yes,
too?
I've heard rumors about a circus as well. I think that's what they're calling the bridge that the streetcar will go on.
Circus. Look,
I can't wait to see what happens with this. This is going to be fun.
No Dough was Mike Fahey's legacy vanity project.
Kind of worked.
It served us quite well.
Great job.
So maybe in 40 years, we'll come around on this streetcar thing. I doubt it, but
O-Trips is on YouTube.
Prepare to be wowed.
O-Trips, I believe, is a young person. Streetcar to Blackstone will serve the young people very well.
They just built a massive parking garage there.
For cars.
For cars.
Not for streetcars.
I guess you can park and ride the streetcar, but
I think I think you'll enjoy the streetcar. And I think you'll enjoy when Interstate 480 is closed this weekend for the entire time.
Possibly be true.
I don't want to go near whatever this creates this weekend.
But you have to.
And actually, I don't. I'm not going to the Creighton game on Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
I know it's.
You're on the Nebraska payroll this weekend.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that I won't be able to go to the Creighton game this weekend, but I'm not disappointed in trying to figure out how to get there without Interstate 480, which is an incredibly convenient interstate.
One of our best interstates.
It's so good. If you're trying to go, you're coming in on 80, you're coming from out west, and you take 480. Obviously, you take it through the kind of the middle of quote unquote, it's not exactly downtown yet, but like 24th, 30th Street, it goes through that area. But the best part of 480 is the part that nobody uses. It's the part beyond that actually takes you straight into the middle of downtown. You don't have to get off on Dodge Street or on 24th Street and then take the many, many hills and streetlights to go downtown. No, you just keep going on 480. Hell, you can go all the way to Iowa if you want, and then bang, 2 minutes later, you're at the casino. You drive right over the CHI Health Center. That is a great stretch of interstate.
My wife is a fan of that stretch that just kind of drops you right into downtown. My son's a fan of it too because it's right by that.
Great views.
Right by those. Yes, great views. And there's a lot of buffalo statues when you swoop in there.
Yeah. Black Cat writes in. But Connor, who will clearly specify the rules of the Let It Fly shootout?
That's true.
Question.
Have you told your fill-in?
I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's happening on Sunday. I don't know. I assume it'll just be Jake. It'll just be Jake just talking. The regular public address announcer.
Oh, because Jake is doing this game on
Sunday.
I
am a vanity project. Really. They don't need me.
I am judging a chili cook-off this weekend, Connor. Me.
You're judging a chili cook-off? You hate soup.
I do. And chili.
Wait, why did you say yes to this? You can't eat soup.
I like helping my friend.
Teeth. Josh Johnson
That's right.
is judging a chili cook-off.
I'm going to be the toughest critic in Council Bluffs on Sunday.
Jake pawned off a chili cook-off on you?
I think I said yes, thinking it would never come to fruition, like back in November.
Yeah.
And then here it is. And past Josh has screwed over future Josh yet again.
Big time. Big time. You got hosed on that one, buddy. Yeah. Well, I look forward to you don't eat chili, Josh.
I don't, but I will do it. I said I would do it, so I will do it.
But you don't know how to do it. You don't know you don't know how to do it.
I know what tastes good and what doesn't.
But you don't eat chili on principle.
I don't. And wouldn't If you were in a chili cook-off and a guy said, "Hi, I'm the judge of the chili cook-off. I never, quite literally never eat chili. I ate your chili and I liked it."
No.
Wouldn't that like, "Oh my gosh."
No, like I want a big
Wow, what a compliment.
I want a big fat guy to eat my
Check.
brisket. I want a big fat guy to eat a big fat guy who knows his way, like who's been a pit boss, pit master before.
We got a couple big
I
fat
want
guys,
to
don't worry.
feed specifically that guy my brisket because I know how much brisket that guy's eaten.
I've eaten a lot of brisket.
You've not eaten a lot of chili, though.
That is correct. I'm terrified.
So your opinion means nothing.
What if it's bad, you guys?
You basically have the equivalent of a child opinion. What's this? Can I put crackers in it?
I don't foresee myself putting crackers in it.
Yeah.
I see myself drinking a lot of beer, though. I'll tell you that much.
Don't forget to chew your chili. By the way, Black Cat, what was the thing that Isaac Trout was throwing shade at me for yesterday?
Do we got show beef?
I don't know what that was from. I don't know where he said that. I don't know. Because I'd like to bring it up to him next time I see him. But I've been only nice to Isaac Trout,
which will be never.
No, there's still more Creighton games. Josh.
March 8th. Are we ever going to pick a time for that game?
No, there's another game before that too. There's a game next week. You got to see my old friends from DePaul.
Oh.
Mustache Adam writes in.
Hi, Mustache.
Without the bridge, how will they get all the deluxe Murkorches into the CHI?
You got to think of these things.
Man. I need to find somebody who is making chili for this chili cook-off and have a discussion with them and see what they think. I'm glad this segment has produced this.
Yeah, a good spot to hit a couple of things that we've wanted to hit today and didn't know when we would. So I guess we got that going for us, which is nice.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions in this segment. Josh, thank you for sharing them with us.
I am full of opinions.
You do have an opinion.
Sometimes you have to pull them out of me, but I got them.
You do have an opinion.
I should be more freewheeling with the opinions. I understand that.
Well, sometimes you're fixing computers over there while the show's going on.
Equipment works great in here. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, we'll be back. I still haven't heard from Sipple yet, so maybe we just have to, forget about that one.
You think he fell asleep? He doesn't strike me as a napper.
He doesn't. No, he's definitely not a napper, and he's definitely not a shut your phone off while you nap guy.
Do you think he's okay?
Yeah, I think he's probably fine.
Okay, he can take care of himself.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to think about anything else for the rest of the show other than you sitting there judging a chili cook-off. And coming from the guy whose take literally last week was, I don't eat soup, I have teeth.
That's right. If you'd like to come watch me judge a chili cook-off, full-fledged brewery in Council Bluffs this Sunday afternoon.
It's a full-fledged brewery?
That's the name of it. Council Bluffs' first brewery.
Okay. And how many chilies will you be eating? How many chilies are in the cook-off?
I assume multiple.
I would assume so, too.
How many are normally in this thing, guys? Help me out here.
I don't know, like probably
6?
8 to 10 chilies?
Oh, that sounds like a lot. I might just need to pluck out a piece of meat of each chili.
How many people are on the panel?
I believe we have a 4-judge panel. It is me, Iowa Western head football coach Scott Strohmeyer.
This is going to be awesome. Is there going to be video? Is this going to be live stream?
I don't think so.
Stro. All right. Okay.
We could maybe go live on the social media. It might anger some other people in this building that I do that, but just trying to help the station.
Who else is showing up?
A couple people from the Reaver football broadcast crew.
Not Jake.
Not Jake. He'll be at the Creighton game.
Yeah, you.
Me. Russ will be there.
Russ.
And sports information director Travis Jacobs.
Travis. Okay. Do they know your opinion on soups and chilies?
I actually don't think they do.
Interesting. Travis is a listener of the show, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe he's listening right now. I think there should be an announcement beforehand, to be honest with you.
This judge hasn't eaten chili since he was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
Try and wow him.
Chili judging tips on the YouTube page.
Oh, yes, please.
Royce, little tip on the judging. If it has beans, it's not chili.
If it has beans, I'm not going to eat the beans.
Josh.
Connor.
It's part of the chili.
Nah, it doesn't have to be.
Yes, it does.
They can't
be the judge
chili
at the chili cook-off picking the beans out of the chili. I will not have you do that.
I have an allergy.
I can't put you out there and have that happen.
I guess when I am out in public, I do represent the Connor Happer Show.
Yes.
So I need to.
You have to eat the beans.
I will eat the beans. I assume these are not large bowls of chili I'm being served.
Yeah, I would say a couple spoons full, probably.
Yeah.
Eat the beans.
Is it like a wine thing where I can
Nobody
spit
else
it
ate
out
the beans.
afterwards?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You just have to eat it.
Okay.
I don't think so anyway. Ooh, that's a good, interesting mouthfeel. It's a little earthy and no. I don't think that works with chili cook-offs.
Okay. I just want to know the rule. I want to know what I signed up for.
You signed up to eat chili, a thing that you don't like.
I do like free food, though.
Okay. All right. Cody writes in.
Hi, Cody.
Being a food judge is not as great as it sounds. I have had to judge a few barbecue events, and they're much harder than I thought.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what you're going to realize probably is that all of the chili tastes like chili.
Yeah, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah. And so you'll just have to pick one.
No, I like chili cheese Fritos. Like I like that.
Okay. That's not chili. You'll find that the texture is different.
Well, but the flavor, like the spices that are in it, like I'm fine with that.
I don't think those taste like chili.
Okay. Marcus on the YouTube stream. This is the equivalent of a blind person judging a beauty pageant. Marcus has been killing it this week, by the way.
Marcus, you had some good comments, man. It's good. Okay, so please don't let me forget about this over the weekend. And don't take Interstate 480 to get there.
I don't think the internet will let you forget about this weekend.
Good.
I'm really glad I brought that up. I thought it just kind of sitting on it.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of, like,
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. Felt like maybe we needed something in that last segment.
Josh, baseball.
Baseball.
ESPN and Major League Baseball have broken up. We love on this show.
We do.
And
famously.
These two do not love each other anymore.
This is a bitter divorce.
It actually is. Yeah. It's not mutual. It was first explained as mutual, but it is not as mutual as it was initially portrayed. According to a new report from CNN, the split between MLB and ESPN largely comes as a result of the network making the decision to terminate the deal. The report stands in stark contrast to Rob Manfred's memo to the league's owners, which said that the breakup was mutually agreed to and placed blame on ESPN for not doing enough to promote the sport during their deal, which is all accurate. The Manfred wrote in the memo obtained by The Athletic that was sent to the owners, "We have not been pleased with the minimal coverage that MLB has received on ESPN's platforms over the past several years outside of the actual live game coverage." CNN's Kyle Feldscher, however, reports that a source with knowledge... Freda Felcher from Cranston? Reports that a source with knowledge of ESPN... We will do it every day. We will have a Dumb and Dumber quote
I don't
every day.
care.
Every day
I
on
will
this
do
show.
it.
However, reports that a source with knowledge of ESPN's approach to the negotiations disputed the idea that the split was mutual. The source told CNN that ESPN opted out of the contract and was surprised by Rob Manfred's note to MLB owners that the league and the network had mutually agreed to end this relationship. The source noted that ESPN had an opt-out clause in the contract and decided to exercise it on Thursday. Either way, they're splitting up. They're breaking up.
Many would say that the marriage had been dead for years.
So I think it's a pretty good lesson here. ESPN will take this as an opportunity to talk about the declining interest in baseball. And as they've shifted their coverage to more nonsense. I saw somebody say earlier today on Twitter, and I just saw this out of the corner of my eye, so I don't know who did it. But it was like ESPN is basically turning into MTV. It's like we don't actually play the games and the sports anymore. We just have people talking about it.
Good comp.
And I think that's right. ESPN will try to talk about the declining interest in baseball, but I'll offer this. Parachuting in, covering a sport is not the way to go. I think it's been proven over and over again now. If you are going to have a showcase game on every week, like ESPN did with Sunday Night Baseball, and you want people to watch it, you actually have to cover the sport and the other days as well. You can't cancel baseball tonight. You can't lay off your entire baseball staff outside of Jeff Passan and Buster Olney. You know, like it's what NBC has done since joining the Big Ten has been really admirable, in my opinion. They try. They not only put on the Big Ten game every week, and they still, by the way, get shafted by the conference because of the games they get. They're still at the mercy of that because they care about Fox more. But they threw together a studio show. They had, social media content, like whatever it might be. Like, it seems like they're investing in it, in the product that they're trying to promote and trying to make better. ESPN, for whatever reason, a long time ago, decided that it wasn't worth it for them to have a nightly baseball show anymore during baseball season. And as a result of that, nobody goes to ESPN for their baseball coverage anymore, including on Sunday Night Baseball. I think it's more viewed in the league now as a hassle to play on Sunday Night Baseball. And especially when there's only basically a rotation of 4 teams who play on Sunday Night Baseball the entire season.
Should we list them?
Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, and then take your pick. Mets?
Whoever's good.
Yeah. Padres.
That 4th team is whoever's good.
Yeah. Right. That's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals haven't been on Sunday Night Baseball in years.
Yeah.
Like that's not a complaint that is like applicable to this situation. But like I said, I think it's a really good lesson. Don't try and parachute in. It's not the way to do it here. And so from that perspective, I'm really glad that there's a separation here.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly didn't care about it. They didn't want to cover it. They didn't want to be on it. And so I'm glad that they're not anymore. But the question, I guess, so from that perspective, good job by Rob Manfred. But unfortunately, now they have to take some of their, their tier 1, like their big games, including playoff games. This is after this season, by the way. Playoff games, Sunday Night Baseball, whatever they're going to do with that, and sell it to another company. And I have some doubts as to whether they'll get that one right. But, that's just me.
I have some issues with their coverage, but this is and I know Manfred's trying to tear MLB's media contract down to the studs so that he can rebuild it in like an NFL model. But like This is FS1's best chance to do something in a while. Like, it's not going to make a dent into ESPN, but it is.
No,
it is a great opportunity for them. Like, hey, we have the space, we have the network, we have the reach. Let's do something.
And that's the problem and how ESPN views it. They're just like, if you're not really like making us money, then we don't have to care about this.
Sure.
And they have gone all in on SEC football, and they have gone all in. What is another thing ESPN has gone all in on?
NBA.
Yeah, all in might be a little strong, but in definitely.
NFL. Or are you talking like a games, airing games?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's where it starts, right? If you don't have that piece of it, then your coverage is going to lack. That's been proven over and over throughout the years. And for the people that always, like, I haven't seen, they have a college basketball game day show, Josh.
Technically, yes, they do.
I haven't, like, I've watched the show occasionally.
Wow, my condolences.
They're never not in an ACC or an SEC building.
Mm-hmm.
And by ACC, I mean Duke or North Carolina.
That's right.
It's never like do they know anything about the Big Ten and the Big East? I don't think they do. I don't think they employ anybody at their at their website their thing that cares about that at all.
You would think even the football version of College Game Day makes a trip out west once a year and is like, hey, very tiny school that no one remembers exists. We're here. But why do that for your basketball show that nobody watches?
ESPN loves WNBA, Plaquette says, especially that Caitlin Clark thing.
Which we will get to.
They're going all in on that.
We would have gotten to it when Sipple didn't answer the phone. That was a perfect opportunity. But I had to let everyone know, selfishly, I had to let everyone know that I was judging a chili cook-off this weekend.
I have received a text from Steve Sipple.
Oh.
Too late? Question mark?
It's your call, man.
No, it's not too late.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Sipple.
It's Sipple.
When we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we are joined now on the hotline by Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Connor. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. So was your phone off or what happened?
Okay, so we had we're just very transparent, me and you.
We are.
I had the Husker Online show, and it ran a little longer because we had Troy Dannon on, the Nebraska athletic director. And then there's a couple snafus that hit right after the show. So usually we're done at about 12:30, and it's kind of seamless into this appearance. But today there was just a few things that came up. But here we are.
I assume you had plenty to ask the athletic director in light of the news today.
Yeah, he addressed it at length. So fire away. What are you wondering?
Well, first of all, before I ask you those questions, of which I have plenty, I would like to ask you this: have you ever judged a chili cook-off before?
No, I haven't. Or maybe I haven't. I don't remember. Let me think about this. I'm going to say no, I haven't.
Okay.
Unequivocally, no.
You went from I'm not sure to unequivocally very quickly.
Yeah, I just didn't. I used to go to Aurora, and they would have, it's a bar in Lincoln.
Yes.
But I'm 58. I'm talking about, when I say that kind of thing, you're younger, so I'm 58. Now, if I judged a chili cook-off, there's a moment in time where I think I was asked to when I was about 25.
At O'Rourke's? They had a chili cook-off at O'Rourke's?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was 33 years ago. So what went through my mind is, did I actually do it or was I just asked? And I was just asked to do it, and I didn't do it.
Okay. Well,
Do you regret not doing it?
No, not at all. No, I don't. I don't. I'm not. Yeah. No.
Have you ever judged any other? Have you ever participated in a hot dog eating contest or judged like a barbecue contest or something like that?
Yes, I've judged a barbecue contest in Lincoln when they would bring in vendors from all over America.
Rib Fest.
Yeah, Rib Fest. I went with L. Kent Wogamon, a good dear friend. And yeah, I was a judge one year. And it was very interesting how much you had to eat. And but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, Josh is judging a chili cook-off tomorrow, and so he was looking for some advice.
Yeah, that strikes me as a younger man's job. So,
yeah.
Josh, you'll have fun.
We're gonna strap him up with some Tums and send him on his way. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, strap him up. You got to strap Tums to him.
Yeah, Pepto-Bismol or something like that.
Yeah, strap him up.
Okay. So you've had an extensive conversation with Dannon since this news have broke, and I think the important thing to note, one of the important things to note here, Sipple, is that everybody for a while has sort of expected this, and I think that Nebraska was going to not play its upcoming games with Tennessee, but then the way when it gets out there, it's Nebraska backed out of this thing, and Tennessee did not seem happy about that, or they wanted to make everybody know that Nebraska backed out of it. I guess, what was Dannon's sort of response to the pushback that he may have received today?
The most important bit of information that Dannon gave us, I don't think he had in the official release, was that in 2027, when Memorial Stadium is undergoing renovation, there'll be probably 20% reduced capacity or so. And if you only had 7 home games, he said it would be a killer to our budget to have 7 home games with one of those home games at reduced capacity, significantly reduced capacity. He said he couldn't do it. I mean, he used the word killer. It would be a killer to our budget. So that's the most important thing. 2027, it'll be the South Stadium that's being renovated at that point, and you're going to lose a lot of, you're going to lose a lot of revenue that way. And you couldn't afford to have you just literally could not afford to have only 7 home games that year, and you're scheduled to go to Tennessee in 2027. There's another thing that's important to note. Nebraska did offer Tennessee a chance to bump it back, to stay in the series, but it would have to be bumped back yet again. It's been bumped back. I think it was supposed to be in 2016, 2017, and it was bumped back by Tennessee at that point because it was going to play somebody in Bristol at the Speedway. So it got bumped back by Tennessee. Now Nebraska wanted to bump it back, and Tennessee did not want to do that. So now what it sets up is some very light non-conference schedules in 2026 and 2027, and that's what people will probably have a heyday with.
Do you have an estimate of how much revenue Nebraska gets from a single home game?
Yeah, it's in the 7. I think the last I've heard, it's in the $8 million range. $8 million. So for I don't know, for the sake of comparison, a spring game at its height is probably worth about $1 million.
Right.
So yeah, $8 million is about what.
Hey, if you had a spring game, that'd make half your money back from the 20% gone that over a season, right?
I guess
my math is right.
Yeah,
more than that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if it draws well.
So I guess I find I guess that's the piece. One of the pieces I find interesting. Like if they can't handle the whatever $1 million they'll be missing from 20% of the capacity being gone during the one season, and it would be a killer. Then I don't know. Like I guess. Why did they cancel the spring game? I guess would be my question.
I think you actually know the answer. It's not just all revenue related. You've heard Matt Rule talk about. I think you know that answer. Matt Rule's discussed it. How he doesn't. He said it. He has said it in a couple different ways. One way he has said is, why put your players out on TV to have people watch the players that other teams can now poach? Why just put yourself in that position? He also said why the other day in that interview with Josh Pate of CBS Sports, he said, why put your proprietary information out on TV? So it's not just a revenue discussion with the spring game. It's also that, and then it goes to another level. You don't have enough linemen probably to have a viable spring game like we knew it for so long. Do you have a third string offensive line now that's viable? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that, but I haven't delved into their depth. Could they have a spring game? But my guess is it would be hard. It's not like it used to be where Nebraska had 4 offensive lines that you could use, or 5. So I totally understand that part.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make this about not having. I mean, you do what you do. You're a grown man, but I'm not making this about not having a spring game.
Okay, so I guess I have follow-up. Do you have a guess or an estimate, based on the conversations that you've had, of what a home game against Tennessee might be able to monetarily bring you compared to what a home game against, say, Miami of Ohio or Bowling Green might bring to your university? Like, is it a negligible difference? Is it a big difference? Are the tickets still the tickets? Like, how is that viewed inside the athletic department? The size of the game?
I don't know how it's viewed. I mean, that probably doesn't matter how it's viewed. It's just raw numbers. And and now I'm going back years and years, Connor. I don't think it changes much. If it does, I'd be a little surprised, just based on just reporting going back a quarter century. I can't remember ever having that discussion with an AD that said this game is worth this and this game is worth this, and going, wow, there's a huge disparity. I think it's pretty static.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case from a money perspective. But I will say this: I do feel like those kind of games against brand teams, It invigorates your fan base. It's something to to look forward to. And if it's not like completely a money thing, then I don't know. I would think that there would be alternative revenue streams that they'd be able to sort of recoup that if it was about that. And I like the idea of the Nebraska fan base being invigorated in September instead of, trying to, figure out stories to talk about when you're playing 3 MAC teams or whatever it is.
Right. That's a beautiful thing for talk radio because the conversation can go in several directions. And I totally agree with you. I was looking forward to this. I was. As just a football fan. Tennessee's coming to Lincoln, and by the way, we're going to Knoxville. This is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So there's some disappointment in that, and then there's the other piece of it when you look at Nebraska's Big Ten. And now I got to be clear to you, Connor. My stance on non-conference schedules, really in the last, I'd say 5 to 6 years, has been I don't care who they play because the Big Ten schedule is really tough. So if it's light, I don't care, and that's what I'll be saying now for the next 2 weeks as we discuss this in various forums. Now, I would say this though: they're pressing it a little bit here. They're pressing it. When you're playing 2 MAC teams in an FCS, you're pushing it. You're pushing that a little bit. Now, 2027 though, if I'm Matt Rule and that staff, I'm looking at the 2027 schedule. That could be Dylan Raiola's senior year. You can make some hay with that schedule. The 2027 Big Ten schedule is a little lighter than the 2026 Big Ten schedule. So you should go 3-0 both cases. But in 2027, I mean, there's 10 wins on there if you're building the program the way we think they are.
Yeah.
So so in that sense, Connor, maybe it all works out. We'd be remiss not to mention, just go check Michigan and Ohio State's non-con this year.
Sure.
Or check Indiana. We all hailed Indiana this year. My God, look at their non-conference this year and next year. It's very comparable. So the roadmap to the playoff, I mean, if Nebraska's in the playoff in 2026 or 2027, nobody's going to be ruining the non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
We're just going to be talking about Nebraska being in the playoff.
We were talking about this earlier. I think people really, that's kind of the non-starter for them these days. They're just like, hey, I want as many wins as I could possibly get on a football schedule. Right. And I just I don't know, as a fan of a football team, or if I was a season ticket holder or whatever it might be, that's not necessarily the end all be all. You want to go to the playoff. You want to see your team win football games, but I also want to feel like I'm being rewarded, by the university in playing games like this. And there are games. I mean, that year that you mentioned, 2027. So Tennessee's off, Miami of Ohio's on. Your September is just going to be really light with Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio, and Northern Iowa. Yep. And then the rest of your home games throughout, you do get Oregon, but the rest of your home games are Minnesota, Purdue, Rutgers, and then Iowa on Black Friday. It's
not much.
It's pretty light. Yeah, not much like that. That screams this is going to be a great day for Nebraska fans to make a difference.
Not really. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a sort of an interesting development, but again, I think that if Nebraska would make it into the college football playoff in either of those years, it sort of trumps everything, right? I mean, it just, and then I don't know. I give credence to his assertion, I guess, that Troy Dannon's assertion that you have to play 8 home games in 2027 if you're at reduced capacity. There absolutely has to be 8. That makes sense to me. So I don't know. It's not. No, is this a perfect scenario? No, it's not. But I can't personally sway from what I've been saying for several years now, which is I don't care who they play in September. When you're playing the Big Ten schedule as it is now, it's really hard.
Sipple, we'll look forward to whatever, that is it going to be a podcast or an audio or a video? What's going on there?
Probably a combination. He talked about some other things too that were really interesting, just addressing what what the spring game day might look like. It looks like they're gonna have a volleyball match that day. I think that spring volleyball match, the way I understood it, they'll just play that on the day of the spring game, the spring event, we'll call it. And they're going to have a bunch of different things, flag football. He kind of shed some light on what they're thinking in terms of that April 26th date where we used to have a traditional spring game.
Okay. By the way, is everything okay? There was a bunch of sirens going by you a couple minutes ago.
I'm on campus.
Crime Town.
No, you're in crime.
No, I'm not. You're in Crime Town.
I'm in College Town. You're in Crime Town. I'm in College Town. But there was no, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right. Just want to make sure they weren't coming to get you or anything like that. All right.
Well, not right now. They're not.
Not yet. Thanks, Sipple. Talk to you later.
All right. See you. Bye.
Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com, who I guess is calling Omaha Crime Town. Good luck with that catching on. It's like McMaster calling McMaster, Mount Happer McMaster.
Once you name something, that's its name.
Crime Town. And it happened organically, too. Why? Crime.
Crime kept popping up.
Crime all over the place. All right. We'll be back. If you guys have any lingering thoughts on the Nebraska-Tennessee situation, and I don't... Alex and Lincoln, by the way, wrote in. He said, Sip, if Ohio State told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? He's talking about, he was comparing the Michigan week schedules and all that stuff. I don't know, man. Like I said, we've spent the last decade or whatever being desensitized to this stuff. And it's, there are ways you can rationalize it to yourself now because of your access to the playoff or whatever it might be. But bottom line to me is that's just not if you're asking me whether I want to play Miami of Ohio and Bowling Green or 2 games with Tennessee, one at home and one on the road, the answer is very easy to me as a football fan. I want to see N versus T.
I want Peyton Manning to show up.
Peyton Manning would have shown up to the game in 2027. It would have been the 30-year anniversary of him getting his butt kicked.
Yeah, and he would have said, "This a great quarterback y'all got here," and I'm sorry.
Maybe Scott Frost would have shown up.
Maybe.
So I just not what I prefer. Not my preference.
When you're in program building mode, you can't have both. When you become world beaters on the other side of program building mode, then you can schedule sexy games.
Well, there's all of that stuff, it's where Nebraska has been. And they're like, hey, look, man, if playing Miami of Ohio 4 times, gets me 4 wins, then I will take the 4 wins. No questions asked. Sign on the dotted line. No problem.
Yep.
I would counter that by saying this. Nebraska should be expected to manage if your non-conference schedule is 3 Miami of Ohio's or 2 Miami of Ohio's and Tennessee. Nebraska wants to be just as good as Tennessee, so why not show it? And I get it. You're going to play, that's 10 power games that you're going to play. And, the SEC only plays 8, and they play their 9th. And I'm not going to, say anything about this until they play their 9th conference game. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. After all this stuff, I still want Nebraska to be tested against the best teams in the country.
If the spots into the CFP are preordained, then why do we care?
Right. And it's not because I think it makes them better or it makes them more likely to reach the playoff. It's because I believe that the standard here is that. I believe that the standard at Nebraska is to be able to be competitive with those teams. That, we're going to play Tennessee, and that just makes our schedule 1 loss more. And that makes me, because we're talking about the difference between 7-5 and 6-6, and I might get fired if we're 6-6. What are we talking about? If we're talking about him being 7-5 again in 3 years, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. The train is stalling out.
It is a program that has always prided itself on
win games,
giving the fans that matchup, and also quote unquote testing ourselves.
Be the-
even when they were terrible the last 20 years.
Be the program that you're billing yourself to be. Be the pro. If you're a leader, whatever, like be that program. If you're a helmet, if you're a blue blood, be it. I don't care what you haven't done over the last 20 years. People manufacturing ways to make it easier for yourself just seems, I don't know. It seems like the easy way out.
Got to play the game. Got to manipulate the system.
Oh, they're massaging it. All right, Josh. All right, we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Oh, look, a Josh Chili Cook-Off graphic.
That's right. That's me at the chili cook-off. I'm going to eat one of those weirdo hot peppers.
What did Homer Simpson not do that was relevant to things that we talk about on the radio?
Simpson's dead at.
Really did. Every time. Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
I'm with you. What if we worried about being good as much as we worry about making a manageable schedule? This is just a sequel to Oklahoma 2021 with an excuse instead of finger pointing. I'm sure smarter people than I will do the math on what they actually will lose from a fiscal perspective and how easily that could be recouped by doing other things. But that excuse is certainly being devoured like a bowl of chili at a chili cook-off by Josh Odson.
So
today.
very, very delicately and with intent.
Picking the beans out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating around the things you don't want to eat, but eating the things you do to make a good show.
Senator John Thune. I probably won't.
You could probably stop there. Yeah.
I have said it before, but now I made a deal out of it.
But we want to be clear that this isn't
not Senator John Thune.
The Senator John Thune.
Senator John Thune is not tweeting into the show.
This person does not like.
It's a parody
Senator
account for a person that doesn't like Senator John Thune. Tweets at
But
Happer
he
Show.
loves almonds.
I've been on a serious heater with Tennessee fans this morning, and they think they're better than Nebraska. Now and in the past, they believe they have 6 national championships. We're having fun trolling these hillbillies. The one they can't get over is all-time wins. They're crying hard. Well, guess what? Nebraska didn't help himself in the whole fan Twitter war today. That's for sure. Oh, yeah, if you're so good as a program all the time, then why are you not playing us?
Tennessee tried to not play it first.
Tennessee tried to not play it first.
And we accommodated them 10 years ago.
Yeah. Now, I mean, okay, so why did Tennessee so vehemently need the game at home in 2027? Why couldn't they have had it been at home in 2028 or something like that, you know? Because according to Nebraska, their thing was, we offered to move it, to push it back yet again, and they declined.
Mm-hmm.
And after we declined, they just backed out. Meaning Nebraska.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Amazing Daniel on the YouTube stream.
Hi, Amazing Daniel on the YouTube stream.
Kind of a series of comments here. Do you know off the top of your head the non-con schedule the last time Nebraska won the national championship?
Oh, I would imagine it was garbage. I mean, they played some one double A's, right?
Yeah, I have the 97 schedule in front of me.
Go for it.
Akron, UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
At number 2, Washington.
95. I mean, same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's riddled with the Pacifics of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said,
I'm not asking every game to be good.
Yeah. Somebody said, well, but then they're not going to go. They're not going to. The sellout streak's going to end because no one's going to come out and see Bowling Green.
That's not true.
That's not true. If they're winning, people will go. They don't mind. Here it is. Fans love to see 60-3 games from the home team. Like, yeah,
it's fun. It's great. I love when they win. I don't know. I like the schedule. I guess I way I like the schedule.
We like having that one game that's fun and sexy and something to look forward to,
mm-hmm.
so that we can forget about that last non-conference game.
Well, I mean, they haven't gone very. Admittedly, they haven't won they haven't won very many of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't won very many games. Period. But once again, like I just feel like that is. It's not because of the schedule per se. Everyone would agree with this statement. Nebraska has not been good enough for the last 15 years, for the last 20 years.
That is part of it.
For the last 10 years. Nebraska just hasn't been good enough. It's like their schedule is hard, but Nebraska hasn't been good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like both of those things are true at the same time. Now people are hung up with people are really hung up with the whole like, hey, let's just pick a school from a conference who plays 9 games. You know?
You gotta let go of your old ways, Connor. This is the path.
Wait, what?
The path to the playoff.
What? What do you mean?
Untether yourself from sexy games. Just win games, baby.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, to Sipple's point, if they're undefeated, going into November or something like that, and they've played a bunch of crap, just like Indiana did this year,
make the playoff.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it.
If the TV money is already there.
But we are asking questions, I'll tell you that, just like we were with Indiana this year. A lot of people are asking questions.
Yeah, but if the TV money is already in place, regardless of your schedule, and the sellout is there, regardless of your schedule, what incentive is there for Nebraska to, here's something about, here's Colorado, here's Tennessee, here's
From
Miami.
what perspective?
From
whose perspective?
From the perspective of, like, hey, we need one marquee non-con game to really make our nest egg for the year. Yeah,
there is
absolutely none.
There is none. But that's not the perspective that I'm coming from.
Sure.
I don't care how much money Nebraska makes or doesn't make. I don't care I do care whether they get into the college football playoff, but I don't need to. I don't need it to I don't need to manipulate it to manufacture a way to get in, especially when Nebraska's been busy going 4-8 for basically the entire last decade, and we're talking about making the college football playoff. I want good games. I want to see good opponents. I want to go to Knoxville. I want to go to Norman. I want to go to Boulder. Those are fun.
Let's go there in the first round of the college football playoff. Connor.
That would be awesome, but you're going to have to go better than 4-8.
Yes.
Yeah, that I guess
do that. Win games.
Yeah. That I guess that would be my response to that.
Can't have both. Can't have sexy non-con games and a playoff run. Who do you think you are?
Everyone.
Georgia?
Ohio State?
Who do you think you are? Texas? Who do you think you are? Notre Dame?
I wonder what would happen if I looked at, let's say, Michigan. They won the national championship recently, right?
They did, famously. Famously did not play anyone.
They didn't play anybody, but fresh off a national championship, what they've decided to do was schedule Oklahoma in the non-conference for 2026. Texas, they already played this year, and they will play each other again in 2027, Michigan and Texas. Ohio State and Alabama are on the books for 2 years from now. Ohio State has Texas on the books for a couple of years from now.
Sounds like there already is a Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement.
Yeah. I don't know. I like good games.
I like good games too.
I like playing against games that are good.
I am with you, but
I just think
also see Nebraska's.
I see it.
That's their path.
Their path to what?
The path to the playoff.
No, it's not. Their path to the playoff is winning more than 5 games in a season.
And to do that, you can't be playing the Tennessees of the world. You need to play the MAC teams.
That's not true. They've been doing that for the last 10 years, and it still hasn't met jack. They've went to 2 bowl games in the last 10 years.
And they won the last one.
They won the last one. It's not because they played Oregon in a home and home in 16 and 17 that they haven't been any good.
A terrible mistake.
It's because they haven't been any good that they haven't been any good.
Interesting fact you bring to the table. I don't care for it.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. For the record, I'd like Nebraska to play Florida State too,
Oh, that would be a lot of fun given the events of the offseason.
Yes, it would be. Clemson,
Dabo,
North Carolina. So if they wanted to take this game off the schedule because, like, if you think
Arizona State,
oh, we're taking this game off the schedule because, in part because, hey, look, the SEC is not playing 9 conference games yet, and we don't want to make it, we're trying not to even out we're trying to keep the playing field even here. Like, fine, go play Florida State, but they're not going to do it. Go play somebody from the ACC or the Big 12. Like, fine. I understand that part of it too. All right. So the polls, Josh, at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Yesterday in the crossover, we asked a couple questions.
That's right.
Is Lincoln the Long Island of Nebraska? Lincoln's the Long Island of Omaha. Lincoln's the Long Island of Omaha. But okay.
Did I got the question wrong?
I think so.
I seem to remember, like, well, what was the last word? Nebraska? Okay, Nebraska.
62% say no. Do you like Airheads? I do.
I
got a variety pack for Halloween, and it came with a lot of orange ones, and I did not like those.
I like orange. Orange Airheads aren't what I'm there for.
52% say no. It's close.
Okay. There's a photo of garbage in our building.
There's that. Do you take a cup with you into the restroom?
Why would I?
No. 84% say no.
What literal reason would I have to do that?
And finally, have you ever judged a chili cook-off?
If you have, please let us know tips and tricks so that they could become my tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks.
Thank you, Michael Severe. I'll get a roll of Tums.
Yeah. Bring your Pepto-Bismol. 73% say no. We just had one voter who had judged a chili cook-off, and it changed the number. 73% say no.
Okay.
Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We got hoops this weekend. Number 14, Michigan State at number 12, Michigan, 7 o'clock tonight on Big Fox. I believe this is for first place in the Big Ten.
Say it again. Michigan and who?
Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it's yes, I think you're right.
In-state rivalry game, Big Fox, first place on the line, pretty big deal. Nebraska fans, look away. Number 6, Tennessee at number 7, Texas A&M.
That's a conference game, though.
Big meteor game of the week there. 11 a.m. Saturday on ESPN. Number 8, Iowa State at number 5, Houston. 1 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN. You can listen to it right here on 1620 The Zone as well.
Hey, speaking of Texas A&M, remember when Trev said
that we should start the Style Stadium project now?
Trev said, I believe he said this when he was the AD at Texas A&M. He said, college football, college athletics doesn't have a money problem. It has a what? It has a spending problem. Just something to know.
Something to think about. Number 17, Kentucky at number 4, Alabama tomorrow night. Also something to think about. 5 o'clock on ESPN.
I'll think about it.
Sunday, UConn at number 10, St. John's, 11 a.m. on Big Fox. Georgetown at Creighton, 3 o'clock Sunday on Peacock. Load that Peacock up this weekend.
That beautiful, beautiful picture.
Shoot-around starts at 1:30 here on 1620 The Zone. The women this weekend also in action. Number 23, Creighton at DePaul. 2 o'clock to Sunday, on 1180. Washington is at Nebraska at that same time on Big Ten Network Plus.
Indeed, at the same time.
Interesting. NBA this weekend, doubleheader tonight on ESPN, Knicks and Cavs, followed by Wolves and Rockets. Saturday night hoops on ABC, Lakers Nuggets. That should be interesting. And then the Knicks are in the Garden to take on the Celtics at noon on Sunday. And the Warriors host the Mavericks at 2:30 Sunday. Both those games on ABC. Hockey gets going again this weekend after the thrill of the Four Nations face-off. Wild Red Wings, 11:30 a.m. tomorrow on ABC, followed by Capitals and Penguins.
Oh, I guess I did.
No, they're not on this weekend. Public enemy number one in this country, Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers,
Loser,
are in our nation's capital Sunday to take on the Washington Capitals. Noon on TNT, followed by Rangers Penguins. College baseball this weekend, number 23, Nebraska at Louisiana tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Creighton series with Portland is on ESPN Plus all weekend long. 2 o'clock today, that's in a couple minutes. 5 o'clock tonight, and then the games Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, fire that ESPN Plus up for John. And then Omaha, the Mavericks
Maverick Mojo.
They're at LSU this weekend. That's cool. Like that's fun. That's cool. Like it's probably not going to go well for them, but really cool.
I was thinking about how much money you make from a bye series in baseball.
I would really like to know the answer.
I would assume that LSU is probably paying top dollar, in the sport.
Good weekend.
I don't know what that dollar looks like.
Right. 4 o'clock today, they've moved to weather in Louisiana this weekend on Sunday doesn't look great, so everybody's moved their games all over the place. Doubleheader Saturday at noon. All three of those games between Omaha and LSU are available on SEC Network Plus, which I believe is just ESPN Plus.
I'm sure.
State Wrestling is on tomorrow. 4 o'clock Saturday. Remember, you can't actually get to the arena, but they are having it in the arena if you would like to go. And if that's too confusing for you, just watch it on Nebraska Public Media. Big Ass Tyson Terry tries to become the first Nebraska heavyweight to go 4 for 4 undefeated. He's a future Husker. That's probably going to be a good pickup. And finally, Connor on Peacock, Nosferatu.
Okay.
No, you're not in on that?
Libs.
I have a lot of follow-up questions, but no time.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's it for us today, and that is the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.